We don't need UAPs to experience non-human intelligence. The world was full of daimons.
You got to come into the knowing space, the knowing heart.
A sunrise can do that better than any human ritual could ever possibly do. You are never going to make sense of an encounter with one of these things. It's not going to make sense.
They take it for granted that there are non-human intelligences.
Are you a good witch or a bad witch? One thing that I've learned about that is like my emotions have a natural way. Feel the highs and the lows of it.
We should see more people not willing to buy in and go along anymore.
You don't talk to the stars, dude? And he's like, nah, dude.
Every 6 or 7 years, Mercury will enter into what we call an elemental air year. He will spend 6 months languishing in an element, earth, air, water, and fire. And guess what 2026 is? It is a year of elemental water. The Mercury, the messenger of the gods, the synchronicity maestro, is going to wake up the Scorpio, the Cancer, and the Pisces sky. And that means something for you and your sign. So we're going to talk today about how to interpret this elemental energetic field of water that's going to dominate the heavens and how you can best respond to it. And in today's show, we're having an interview first with Gary Caton, the expert in all things Mercury, an amazing astrologer who's done a ton of research into this cycle of Mercury's elemental years. And so we're going to bring him to the table, have a great conversation. And after that, you guys, I'm going to talk about your sign. I hope you'll spend time to watch Gary and learn some of his wisdom today. And I'm going to bring him into the room right now.
Okay.
Welcome, Gary, to the show today. I can't wait to hear about your wisdom all about the elemental water year for Mercury in 2026. Welcome to the channel and tell us a little bit about what you're up to these days, besides, of course, being a brilliant astrologer.
Thank you, Lori. Yeah, it's great to be back. I always love hanging out with you, my fellow Aquarian rising weirdo. So cool. Yeah, I'm right now, I'm getting ready to be part of the Astrology Hub year ahead forecast panel. So I've been like diving into the astrology of 2026 preview a lot, actually. And there's so much going on. It's freaking incredible, you know? So if people want to check that out, you can find Astrology Hub on all the socials. If you're signed up for my newsletter, I'll be sending out a link pretty soon where you can sign up for that as well. You can find my newsletter sign up. It's like a little MailChimp box on the front page of dreamastrologer.com. And yeah, I'm writing on Substack with you, which is fun. And I got like a stack of articles. I'm like backed up, actually. I've got so much stuff coming through the writing channels that I'm like stacking articles, which is great because usually like I have the opposite problem. And so my muse is like, I think the poets call it that I am mounted on Pegasus.
Oh my God, I love that image for you.
I'm on the horse, man. We're flying. I just
Well.
have to be careful not to go to Olympus because they don't like that stuff.
Well, good news. It's a fire horse year. Your muse is on fire. And
Right?
yeah, I'll put the link to your Substack in the description box as well.
Thank you so
People
much.
absolutely love Substack lately because it seems to be the new place to go.
It's fun.
It's fun. And I'm also going to, when we air this video, there's a new collab feature. So it'll direct people to your channel on YouTube and they'll be able to directly sign up as they watch this replay. So that's going to be
on.
another way.
Yeah, I saw that. When I did the Astrology Hub podcast, they had me as like a collaborator or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very cool.
It
Right?
is. And I can't wait to see what you do on the panel. I'll go watch that myself. I love what Amanda does on the Astrology Hub. I
She's
can't wait to
great.
watch the panel. She's wonderful.
Yeah. And then later in the year, in September, I'm going to be releasing my second book of my Hermetic Triptycha at the United Astrology Conference in Chicago
Wonderful. Okay,
in early September. So
people can find out more about your books and your appearances and where you'll be on your website at dreamastrologer.com, correct?
yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Awesome.
So
Thank you.
one thing before we start talking about the elemental water year and what it means, and you share your wisdom with us. I also wanted to tell the audience, my audience are asteroid junkies because I got them down the rabbit hole.
That's so
And I always
cool.
like to tell your story, how you were maybe not so into them until you found out. Tell us about what's on your ascendant as a minor asteroid. I love that story.
Stargazer, baby.
And more than just an astrologer, you take pictures of the sky that are beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. You could have knocked me over. I mean, and I went to the source, man. I booked with Demetra, the asteroid goddess herself,
Hmm.
because she has this special way. She had this like list of mythic asteroids, and I was like, yeah, I want I want to visit the Delphic Oracle of asteroids, And she was like, yeah, look here, you've got Stargazer on your sim. I was like, no fucking way, man.
I know, and
I bleeped myself. Aren't you proud of me?
it just so absolutely suits you because not only do you, gaze at the astrological sky, but you're so beautifully gifted at taking photos of the astronomical sky and like works of art. So, and I even have a guy I know, he's an astrologer, and I said to him one time, I said, "You're such a Merlin, like you're like a wizard, dude." And then he went asteroid hunting. He's got Merlin on his ascendant. So you just can't make this stuff up, right? So yeah, it's so much
It's
fun.
incredible, I find it all the time. Like, I was looking at something just the other day, and I was like, so what would be the asteroid for that, right? And I was like, just by chance, let's see. And there it is, like on the ascendant. I'm like, dude, you literally, it's like there's a synchronicity that happens with these things that's bonkers. It's absolutely bonkers.
It really is, and you should think about that asteroid belt being named by astronomers, all over the world, like professional and amateur, and picking names of the cat, the dog, their friends, their family, places they like, whatever. And then we have like a lexicon in the sky. We have a dictionary of words in the heavens that are eerily synchronistic in terms of how they interface with our lives, and that
Yeah,
goes to take you right down the simulation rabbit hole.
for sure. For sure.
For
It's
sure.
Gnostic AF, man. No
Yeah,
doubt.
like I think it's the Oracle of Delphi. Pythia is on my sun, or it's one of my, I can't remember which planet now, but it fits because I was
Hmm.
a psychic fortune teller, like doing psychic readings in my 30s, and astrology is not that far off. So, all right, so tell us more. I want to hear all about the big picture because we do this kind of water cycle every 6.5, 7 years. Like share the cycle. Tell us about what it means and what we should expect from it. I'm going to hand you the mic.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, people are used to thinking about the outer planets as being a big deal because they spend so much time in a particular sign, right? And yet what's lost on people usually is that Mercury will spend more time in the water signs this year than all the other signs combined. Okay? So that's a big deal. And there's a tremendous emphasis then collectively actually on the water signs. Um, so there's a collective dimension of Mercury. Like, first of all, like that's kind of mind blowing because f for years and years and years when I was coming up, it was always like, oh yeah, Mercury's like a personal planet and it goes around once a year, and on we go. But to understand that there's a collective dimension of Mercury, first of all, is like pretty profound. Like we're all, like I like to think of it as like the vintage, the year 2026 vintage is water. And so when we think about all the qualities of water, it's feminine, you know? It's the alchemical symbol is down and in. And really, we can, when you think about Earth, because it's solid, um, you know, Earth is still a feminine element, but it's like because of the solidity of it, um, it's not necessarily as dramatically feminine, I guess I would say. Water is really, you have to literally get down below the surface to really have any clue about what's going on.
Hmm.
right? You got to put your scuba goggles on and get down there, and then it's a whole other world, right? And so this is, and for instance, like Freud was born, when during the water year, of course, the guy who discovered the unconscious, and his book, um, about dream, interpretation was an absolute like um frontier opening portal into modern psychology, and that dreams can mean, not that the Greeks didn't do that, because they did. I mean, they had temples for this stuff, but in the modern world, it was a new frontier. So this idea about going within, whether that be consciously, like in your conscious life, and going within and really getting in the feels of something before worrying about the details, or worrying about whether it makes sense or whether it's practical, like just getting in the feeling of it first.
Mm.
And so it's a feeling year. It's about your feelings. It's about how you feel about anything and everything. Is That's going to be where you want to communicate from, because if you're trying, in counseling, for instance, excuse me, when someone is talking about feelings, they admonish us as counselors, do not respond to talk about feelings with cognition, because what you're saying to the person then could be construed as, I don't want to hear about your feelings. Get back in your head, please. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's really important to understand, like, the wellspring of communication this year is actually in the feelings. And if you're talking to people from your feelings first, yeah, of course, a lot of times things still have to be practical and they still have to make sense, but that's not the primary focus,
And
right?
in this regard, Mercury being connected to the element of water, which can be about the emotional realm, and all of that, is that also like for the world a story? In other words, we can say,
Yeah.
will the world be driven by emotions? And that can be sometimes not a great thing, right? Emotional. Well, seriously, well, and they can be a good thing, because we're doing this year, like for the world, we're doing a kind of summer of love, Haight Ashbury Woodstock vibe with Mars and Leo. And it kind of, there's a lot of overlay with the sky from
Jupiter in Leo too.
Jupiter there, and the 60s with the Pluto Uranus conjunction in 66. So we're kind of replaying a bit of, the rebellious hippy dippy flower power era a little bit this year. But those young people were highly motivated by their emotions, right? They were not wanting war in Vietnam. So, I mean, emotions can be drivers for movements as well. But do you have any sense of how
100%.
this can work? Like how are we going to feel? Because this happens every, what, 6.5, 7 years, right? It goes back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, so it's not completely uncommon. However, the year itself is really kind of a tale of 2 years. The year begins with all of the outer planets in water and earth signs,
Mm-hmm.
right? We got Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. We've got Jupiter in Cancer. And then we got, Uranus is in Taurus. There's one planet in air, Pluto. So most of them in earth and water. So there's a heavy look, man. I think people are still grieving the pandemic.
Hmm.
I think I am. I'll say, let's start there. I know what I'm feeling, and I'm starting to realize this is grief, bro.
Hmm.
This is grief what you're dealing with. And it's like, wow, it's a little bit complicated, my personal story, because I had a personal loss before the pandemic, just before. So that got all tangled up with the collective loss. And so I don't think I ever quite disentangled those two things. It was very hard to do that. So maybe that's part of why I'm still in that. But I look around, I start thinking, starting to make sense. Like, people are angry. They're angry, they're bargaining. These are stages of grief, according to Elizabeth Kubler-Ross.
That's
You know,
interesting.
there's anger, there's denial. We're still in denial about a lot of stuff, dude,
Yeah.
especially stuff from that time. And there's denial, there's anger, there's bargaining, and then there's acceptance. And so what I would say is like the early retrograde in Pisces is going to be a really great chance to check in and see if like I know I'm going to fess up. I think I'm still grieving some of that stuff.
Hmm.
And I think there's a great opportunity while there's a lot of stuff in the earth and water, feminine elements to deal with that and get out of denial or anger or whatever and start moving towards acceptance because the second half of the year is super dynamic, you know, like you mentioned about Mars and Jupiter and Leo and all of the outer planets from Jupiter out. Once Jupiter gets into Leo, all of them will be in the fire and air signs. And that's dynamic. That's time. I mean, there's so much stuff we could be doing, but if you're stuck in unprocessed emotions, it makes it hard to get going and get doing.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
especially when you compare, you said it's a very earth and water. That's mud. And the good news is you can fire it up in a kiln and make an object that's beautiful, or you can be wallowing in some kind of stuck mud place without realizing there's an opportunity emerging. Like you, as you mentioned, it's like, I think it's from February 7th to April 15th that Mercury will be making his moves through Pisces, right? And retrograding February 26th to March 20th. And I would like you to also, if you don't mind, address the retrograde as a time of the magician Mercury and the synchronicity guy close to Earth and how it operates in a way that it's so different when he is not that close to our planet.
yeah. So, yeah, that's a really good point. So the reason why, and again, you know, astronomers will tell you that no planet is ever actually retrograde, that it's apparent retrograde motion. And that's true. However, we don't live on the sun. We live on Earth. And anybody who's ever been at a stoplight and had somebody next to them take off and they reach over and put, step on the brake a little bit more, it's a pretty convincing illusion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, um, yeah, what's happening is Mercury is passing the Earth, and the relative difference of their speed is what produces the apparent retrograde motion. And so think about it, especially when we're talking about emotional stuff, all right? When we start getting into emotional stuff, that's very subjective. Like my emotional reaction to something is going to be different than yours, unless we're pair bonded or something, and then maybe, we have a little more chance of being on the same page. But people will often say like you're too close to something to really see it, right? They'll say, "Hey, you're in your feels, you're not being objective about this." Right? And so if Mercury being close to the Earth is a phenomenon of all the retrogrades, then when it's close to Earth in water signs, you can see how that would kind of be a double effect, right? It's already part of the difficulty with Mercury retrograde is due to being too close to something, right? And then when it's in the water signs tend to be subjective in nature anyways. And so it's going to be kind of doubled in a way.
Mm.
And so yeah, but at the same time, there's kind of like a process of Mercury doesn't just go back and forth, it actually does these loops, you know? And when you think about it that way, I love this part of what Joseph Campbell used to say. He said, you have to be willing to let go of the life you planned to find the life that's waiting for you.
Mm.
Now, Joseph Campbell was speaking from experience there. He was preaching from experience there. He graduated college in the Great Depression hit. So he should have been had a teaching job at some, highfalutin university. There was none to be had. So he went and lived in a cabin for 5 years, reading whatever the hell he wanted. I mean, think about it. Like, it must have seemed like a letdown at the time, but in hindsight, it was the best thing he ever did for himself. But he wouldn't have planned that. Nobody plans to go sit in a cabin and read for 5 years when you just got everybody wants to get a job and move on with their lives.
Well, that's a beautiful comparison to two other things then with water. I mean, the water signs, you could just generally speaking say go with the flow, but also with the water, you could also talk about moksha because in a traditional Aries rising sky, these represent the spiritual liberation parts of the heavens, houses 4, 8, and 12. And that's about surrender, and literally there is value not in passivity, but in literally like that story you told, right? You're not in charge. And I think with the pandemic, the post-traumatic stress for people is more about being out of control, told what to do, and not having a sense of choice or
Agency.
agency.
Yeah.
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 And I wonder too, with this energy this year, because it's Mars and Leo and Jupiter and stuff, if people are going to want to somehow, like, it's almost like the healing is not to sit in a corner sucking your thumb crying about life, but to just jump in the fire and start pushing back. I think there could be a lot of pushback by Gen Z, especially against government desires to go war drumming and stuff.
I'm already there, man. I mean, I've had to deal with people, mouthing the same narratives from however long, and I'm just like, bro, I don't want to hear it. Like, take that somewhere else, man. I got no more F's to give, yo. Like, I'm over it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, absolutely. I think that especially during the second half of the year, with all that yang energy, there's going to be a really big um, alchemical, and Jung talked about this, like the tension of opposites. The Mercury passages are going to be focusing on the water. Meanwhile, all the outer planets are going to be in fire and air. So there's an alchemical um, tension between the fixed and the volatile. And that can be very useful. You can, if you still in the anger phase of grieving or whatever, like channel that into action. That's one way to get the hell out of it. And just and acceptance will come through just blowing it off. I mean, the Aries temper is very much like that. Like if I'm angry, if people try to get me to calm down, that's the worst thing you can do because it'll just sit there and it'll just be like it'll just go on and on. But if I just get to go, ah, damn it, you know, just like get it out, then it's done and I
Yeah.
can move on. So yeah, that's a really good point. I think that especially during the early part of the year, if there is some crying or thumb sucking that still needs to happen, hey, that stuff happens. But that's going to be the time you want to get through that part of it because there's a tremendous opportunity later in the year to get going. And at that point, the water emphasis will serve as kind of necessary breaks or breathers because there is so much in the fire and air that, you could easily overdo it and burn out too quickly before, and you won't have sustained momentum. And so the water would be there as kind of like when you're forging a sword, you plunge the sword in the water to get the metal to cool off before you go back to working on it.
Yeah, that's how I was seeing it too, like a cooling agent, for all the heat and the air that's blustering up in the second half,
Yeah.
especially, by the way, beginning in Pisces, which I find interesting, that whole February 7th to April 15th window of Mercury in the sign of Pisces, but it's also a very mystical place. It's also can lead to moments of transcendence and transcendent awareness. And as a natural 12th house placement in the sky, it can also bring us into like deep soul work as well and purifying ourselves at the spiritual and physical level, even because, our self-undoing and addictions were classically 12th house matters, right? So it's almost like sometimes I think the best of Pisces is like the still point, right? And like the place
Yeah.
where those two fish are like tangled together, but there's this kind of like intersection that can be like the epicenter of inner stillness or inner surrender or inner big beautiful pause energetically from between February 7th and April 15th. And we still have that we don't even get Jupiter into the fire till the end of June, I think June 30th.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
So
Just
we're
before
really still
July.
dominating even when June 1st, Mercury moves into Cancer. And still we have Cancer Jupiter till the end of June, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
like
right.
so there's going to be this like big water pile energy in the month
In the
of June.
first half of the year, yeah, it's more on the feminine side of things. And so, yes, like there may be some heavy emotions that still need to be moved through, some crying or some venting or whatever, but that point that you make about Pisces and the mystical, there's also a part of it where a lot of this stuff is driven by narratives. And narratives are air. That it's a story, okay? And and I think something that a lot maybe I certainly it was a revelation for me, but research shows that we do not make decisions rationally. We absolutely do not. We make decisions emotionally, and then we tell ourselves stories to justify that decision. And so and then but we get attached to these stories as truth. They are a version of truth. They're a way to make sense of what we're feeling, basically. But what we feel changes over time, and so but the narratives don't. The narratives get stuck, and so what I would say about that part is like the Pisces is particularly because Mercury is in opposite its exaltation in Virgo in Pisces. So there's a there's a way to actually turn the mind off and get out of those narratives for a minute. And you have to get out of them and be out of them for a period of time before you can see them with different eyes or ears. And you go, wait, was I really saying that? No,
Mm.
that's not, that's actually, yeah, like, okay, I could see how that's kind of weird. And so there's an opportunity. This is not a thinking thing, is what there used to be you remember that country song, "This ain't
No,
no
but
thinking thing."
no, but it sounds about right. You get Mercury in the mute sign as well, like he's mute in
Right.
water. So
Yeah.
our thinkingness isn't on the top form, but it's not often our ally. And we create negative stories as much as positive, like narratives about why things happen, why we chose this, where our feelings led us and stuff like that. But I think that there's some deep value in this gorgeous Pisces February 7th to April 15th Mercury timeframe, especially with Jupiter still in Cancer, trining this, flowing to this energy. I mean, you could get deep wisdom, deep truth, deep knowledge of what's real. And I mean, the best of Jupiter working with this Mercury here. I like this energy a lot. I mean,
100%.
yeah, if I was practical, I would say to people, give yourself permission to do things that are flowing, watery, feeling
Whimsical, yeah,
whimsical.
like sappy, whatever, like yeah, like get into the feels and see because we're going to be moving into very different territory and so like get that positive, negative, whichever, get that while you can because yeah, we're moving into very different territory in the second half of the year,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and it's really great for like people who are artistic and creative. You're almost like you could like the muse could dominate your energy field and allow it to speak. I think it's a very interior, very still,
Your dreams could
mystical.
be
Your
really,
dreams.
vivid and important. Yeah, and the one part that we kind of talked about but didn't really is like your relationship with the unconscious is really comes up with the water signs because as I said, like you can't well, if you're at the right angle, sometimes you can see into the water if it's shallow.
Hmm.
But usually the surface of water is like a mirror, it reflects. And so to really see what's going on, you have to get down under there. And that's like the metaphor is like you have to get into the unconscious and listen. You have to actually listen to what the unconscious is trying to show you because the unconscious doesn't speak in English, right? It speaks in metaphors and pictures and symbols and feelings and it doesn't necessarily make sense in a rational way. And yet there's tremendous value sometimes in what it's trying to show you in terms of unprocessed stuff coming up or inspiration, for that you can then use your conscious mind to mine that, but you have to be able to receive it first. And so just making time to like let your mind wander and to
Daydreaming.
all of that stuff, yeah, or just extra sleep, Um, I just yeah, I think that there's a dreamy quality to water that's really available there. And again, even during the second half of the year, when you're going to need to remember to rest. And so there's that dreamy quality of like, yeah, let me just like take a day off, get a nap in, see what my dreams have to tell me, that kind of stuff, like remembering to use that energy for balance and
Hmm.
wholeness. Yeah.
So the water signs are going to be particularly feeling it, obviously, Sun, Moon, thing in
They're going to
Pisces,
be feeling
Cancer,
the
and
feels.
Scorpio. They're
Yeah.
going to
They're
be
gonna,
feeling it. But
right at
even
home.
famous figures too, like Scorpio Sun, King Charles, or Joe Biden, they'll be in the news cycle, Mercury, they'll be coming
Biden's
into,
still sick.
yeah, he has an
He
aggressive cancer that
he
spread to
might
his
not
bone.
make it
I
through.
already predicted he's not going to
Yeah.
make it. Yeah. So we'll see those people showing up in our news cycle. And, the Scorpio transit is coming at the end of the year, September 30th to December 5th, so we might expect news about both of those types of folks. But in our own lives, of course, we are in one big, perhaps the messages are, go inward, go with the flow, cool off, take a coolant now and then when you're overheating on the second half, which sounds like all about go for all your ideas, make it happen, inspired action.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. So those houses, I mean, I call them the identity trigon.
Mm-hmm.
House one is like your persona in Jungian terms, and it's not exact. I don't even think of it as a mask. I think of it more like a hat. Like if I'm going to come to your door and as a technician for your HVAC or whatever, I'm gonna have a hat that shows you that's who I am, so that I'm not some weirdo like creeping you out or something, right? I mean, it's like it's a social signal of identity that makes social interaction. It's a heuristic, basically, right? It's a
Mm-hmm.
shortcut, a mental shortcut and we adopt these. Everybody wears all kinds of different hats. And so when you have Mercury retrograde activating the identity trigon, you might have to put on some different hats that maybe a hat or two you don't necessarily like to put on. And yet, just like Joseph Campbell didn't necessarily want to be holed up in a cabin for 5 years, but it was actually the best thing that ever happened to him. If we can let go of the life we planned, we get to find the life that's waiting for us. And that's happening, maybe not on the same level. I mean, I don't think we're going to have a Great Depression. The economy actually looks great in the US
Yeah.
anyway.
Who
Um,
knows? Who knows? But when I think about, like, 'cause I have a lot of friends and fam who are water signs, a lot of them. And, that identity trigon for you, sun, moon, rising people who are basically in the water signs of Scorpio, Cancer, or Pisces, I can already see the buildup for this kind of, the Joseph Campbell story, right? They're ready to do something new. There's something coming to an end, but not quite yet. There's things going on in their lives, and the identity trigon, guys, he's talking about the Dharma houses in Indian astrology, houses 1, 5, and 10. It does lead you to a deeper alignment with purpose and meaning and
one,
being
five, and nine.
1, 5, and 9. Sorry, I
Yeah.
meant to say 9. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. 1, 5,
You're
and 9.
welcome.
This is me
Yeah.
because I'm always thinking about my Artha houses. It's always got to, like, I got to make money. I got to be on
Get
the
out of the Artha for one moment, dear.
I know. And yes, in the Dharma trine, yes, 1, 5, and 9. So, like, it's kind of like I can see every client friend in my orb, and I have a ton of Pisces and Cancer and Scorpio people. And I already see the navigational shifts that they're heading towards really,
Yeah.
yeah, happening.
And that by putting on a new hat, we get new creative choices, fifth house, and new creative choices expand our horizons, ninth house. It's really a natural progression.
Yeah. Was
Um,
this was this last in 2019 or 20, this kind of depth of water elemental?
it would have been, yeah, 2020 was a water year. And so
Right.
like think about it, the pandemic we were all forced to go inside. Like that's a really dramatic example. And no, I don't think there's going to be a variant or any crazy crap like that. But as I said, I think we're still processing the emotions from that time. I think it's
Right.
only natural that we would be. And so, yeah, there's going to be an echo, like whatever. But yeah, that was a really dramatic example of like the water is about going within. We were forced to go within.
And
Which
at the very same time, some water signs, I know a lot of them who said, I love the pandemic. I got back to my creativity, my art. I found myself looking for things that brought me, inspiration again in life, the Dharma or the significance energy of the houses of 1, 5, and 9. And so I actually found myself looking at the water signs and thinking they were doing great, that my friends,
dude,
family, they,
dude, having people back off of me by 7 feet or whatever in the grocery store, I was like, yes, dude. I can't tell you how many times in my life I've been like, give me some space, dude, or I'm about to throw some elbows in here, man.
oh my
You
God, yeah, no
know?
kidding. Yeah. That the social distancing had its benefits. I have
It
to.
hell yes, dude. And I mean, I remember like when they shut down the Blue Ridge Parkway, I'd go up there and ride back there on my bike. And I was the only one for miles and miles. It was glorious. It was
Oh,
absolutely glorious, dude. So yeah, I'm not saying it was all bad, but I do think it's a dramatic example of that kind of energy shift of going within. And I do think it's possible that people could still have emotional stuff that they need to get through.
and 2000 and 2021, the water energy then would also take us back to scorpionic themes of lab leak or things that were hidden from view and subterfuge and stealth and secrets and whistleblowers and revelations. And there was
Don't get me started,
I don't
dude.
get me started either, but you think
Uh,
about that, that's going to come back again. It may not be this time about illness and viruses. It's probably going to be about political matters to do with who's running our country. Which country runs the United States? Let's put it that way. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Who's really in charge? Don't say the word, we'll get demonetized. But there'll be a lot of like more scorpionic stuff, especially September, October, late September, October, November. I think there's going to be a lot of revelations coming out in our news cycle about variables that have been hidden but suspected. And most people considered
Why?
it true.
Yeah, there should be, yeah, because that tension between the water and the fire and air, gonna tend. What happens when you throw water on a raging fire? It blows up on you. That's why in alchemy you need a strong container to do these operations, and the strong container is actually a strong ego. People think like Eastern stuff is about getting, losing your ego. Mm, Softening the ego, maybe you do not want to be without an ego altogether, man. That's like literally, you're just going to spin off into la la land. But a
Mm-hmm.
strong ego is the container through which you can allow a process to occur without it blowing up and making a mess in your life, and yet things ferment and or distill and something can happen without it being, toxic or blowing up. But that's more the exception than the rule. Alchemists are pretty rare breed. So
Right.
yeah, it's way more than likely that there's going to be some stuff blowing up.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting fall. I'll say one thing about the young kids because my daughter's Gen Z, and I love the Gen Zs because I'm friendly with her friends, and I love the
Mhm.
energy of them. But they're anxious and they feel like gypped by life, but they're also extremely wary, all of them, of following government edicts, especially regarding war. And I don't know
Good for
how in
them.
the world I know we have drone warfare, etc., but I don't see how in the world you could get a Gen Z to conscript.
Yeah, I think we passed that. I mean, when what's his name? He's dead now, so I guess he's fair game. Rumsfeld, when
Oh,
when they were, he's like they were asking him about like, that and he's like, what do you mean? These are volunteers. We didn't draft them, you know. And so he was kind of blasé about the fact that he was sending Americans to their death because, they signed up. What, you know? Like, I think but another way of looking at that is he was pretty much acknowledging that we're past the point where you're going to draft anyone. I mean, there's people that would go along with that because there's people who sign up without needing to be drafted, you know, but I don't think I don't think they're going to be able to have another war where they are going to count on a draft to
No, I
make it
don't think so
happen.
either. But if they wanted to try, I think it would fail. I mean, I know that there's been some hints of conscription, especially in Europe. I think France, but you know,
Oh, over there, yeah. Now, you know, yeah. I mean, Europe is kind of a mess,
yeah. Sure is.
and
And Neptune in Aries has a historical record of people either signing up on the dotted line full of grand vision to fight a war, not knowing how bad it would be. That would be the Civil War for the United States. And then the kids were like, basically not signing up anymore. So they created conscription because people thought the kids apparently were like the young kids, you got to not laugh, you got to cry. We know that the male brain doesn't mature until much later in the mid to
that's
late
right.
20s even. And kids, drive too fast and they do reckless daredevil things and they drink too much. They do all especially the males, they do all those things that you do because you don't have the circumspect brain that would say, hey, be careful. So you're fodder for the mill of war, and you can go in with all this idealism, and then you realize what's really out there, what you really got yourself.
God bless you for understanding that, Lori. Yeah, men were victimized by that machine for a very long time. You know, my grandfather was in the Pacific Theater in World War II, and he
Mm,
came back not just broken, but like scarred beyond belief emotionally, you know? And you know, me and my father and me and my brothers are still living through that trauma.
yeah.
And so yeah, they really are kind of sh sh easy victims for that kind of propaganda, you know? And and so yeah, it's a good point. I mean, this idea that we're going to be motivated by feelings and there's all this stuff in the fire and air signs, that it seems like kind of a setup for that situation.
It
I,
does. It feels like, Uncle Sam needs you, but now it won't be posters. It'll be something else. Oh my God. I hope not.
yeah.
I hope not. But I can see at certain points, especially in Europe.
So do you know anything about what's that stuff called? It's not exactly astrology, but it's like that guy Ra or
Oh, the Gene Keys guy or human
yeah, but
design.
human design, yeah. So in one thing that I learned from the human design is like I think I'm an emotional generator. Does that sound right?
I'm a
I probably
generator.
don't.
You're a generator. We
I,
respond to stimulus, and we have to meet the demand of or the request or response, right? And then we are on our path. But the emotional, I think that's the emotional center. You're responding from there. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm so yeah, and one thing that I've learned about that is like my emotions have a natural wave. You don't need to be bipolar for this to be true, or be a female for this to be true. The emotional currents run in waves. That's what water does. It runs in waves. And what may feel true at this point in the wave may not feel true at this point in the wave. That's why you get things like buyer's remorse. People get like, oh, wow, I really want this thing. And then a couple days later, they're like, oh, shit, I spent way too much on that. And that's why usually you have 3 days to cancel a transaction like that.
Mm,
Um, and so remembering that, oh, I'm in my feels, I should probably experience a full wave of the emotions regarding this thing before I commit to big changes in my
yeah.
life. I should,
That's a great prescription for the year ahead for everybody.
yeah, yeah,
There's like a sine wave or something to for all emotions, and just because bipolar just means it's like it's probably a lot bigger.
yeah, exactly.
The amplitude of the
The
wave.
amplitude of the wave is much
Yeah,
higher for people who, you know,
but
and
yeah.
then there's several different kinds of it, by the way. A lot of people could have it and not be diagnosed because
Hmm.
they just have like a milder form or whatever.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah. But we all have that. So what I'm saying, like,
exactly.
we all have a rhythm to feelings, and I guess a good prescription for all of us with so much feeling archetype, with 6 months of water activated by Mercury, who connects us to our mind as well, is to simply take some time to let it sit with it. Like,
Feel all the emotions with it. Feel the
yeah,
highs and the lows of it. And
and
then
don't.
you have a full palette. You have a full understanding. Okay, now that I've felt all the feelings of this thing, am I still committed? If so, then great.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of information to back that decision up, and you should be good.
I used to go to a therapist guy. He was really cool. He was cathartic. And I think this is a good metaphor for the water year. So he used to take a big giant bottle, like a Coke bottle, and he had silty mud in the bottom and he had water on the top. And he would shake it up before our session. And then he would sit it down and then he said, like, okay, just watch this. And can you let the mud settle? Can you let the dust settle? Can you let
Wow.
this settle? And that was a way to come into the session together and allow for the fact that there is this turbulent mud bottle spinning now, full of mud and water, but it settles, you know? And I think with emotions, that is an important thing for everyone to think about. When it settles, then you're going to come from that baseline clarity. There's
Yeah.
emotional clarity there for you.
Yeah. Because look, we may not have a conscription event. We may not. I think it's a little harder to get away with that nowadays. But what we do have going on is like this big automatic response via social media and various other things. Every single time there's some kind of collective thing, it's like, oh, you have to take this side or you're a bad person. Like, you notice that?
Oh God, the
It's like,
polarity, the reality
every
is so
single time,
polar.
dude, again, seriously, this too, I have to feel exactly like you. And you know what I'm really the most tired of? The assumption that if I don't share the same values as you, I'm devoid of moral compass? Seriously? No, dude, my moral compass just points over that way, not over top of your head. You know? Like,
Oh my God.
come on, man. Like that kind of nonsense and the knee-jerk reactions. I really hope that we can get past that because it's tiresome.
It is tiresome and it's gotten more and more intense in the last few years. I can't even describe, how frustrating it can be. Pluto's out of bounds in the south declination, not currently. That was like August 29th to whatever, sometime in November, late November, but that pattern will repeat for a decade. And what's her name? Oh my God, Rosie Finn. I did a lot of research as an astrologer into the pattern of how this usually operates. And it's usually people grabbing power back from disempowered positions like the French
Mm,
Revolution, the American Revolution, the Protestant Reformation. And
mm,
so we are also overlapping that for a decade. We just started it where,
mm.
no matter what we say about anything, all of it is over the overlording big principle of a time that is historically been researched to show people rebelling from authoritative control, whether it's
Mm.
taxation without representation or, you want, the French a revolution. They want to turn over the monarchical control structures. So we should
Right.
see more of that. We should see more people not willing to buy in and go along anymore. That's what I'm
Yeah,
sensing
it's
in
kind
the
of interesting because you get the whole no kings echo from that, right? Like
You do, and you get the
we
no
did
king's
that
echo.
200 and whatever years ago, dude. Like it's not actually a problem with kings right now, but so
Well, yeah,
yeah,
but
but
then Regulus in 2012 has migrated to zero. Oh, yeah, zero
Virgo.
area Virgo. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we literally kind of took a star that's associated with kings, little king, and all of that, and moved it out of Leo, which is a sign of
Into
power and kings. So
the mutable signs are called the common signs. It's the
yes,
symbol of power to the people. There's no doubt about that,
power
you
to the
know.
people.
And but like what is power? Is it posting the flag of the day on your profile picture? That's not power, dude. Like that's just an emotional, yes, it's an emotional reaction, and yes, it's some kind of, statement of solidarity or whatever. But I mean, to me, like, in fact, what Regulus represents is like the regal energy that is unbothered in the heat of battle. Like that's a military star too. And to
Mhm.
be successful in a conflict, You have to actually be unbothered by it. And that is extremely difficult because it's only when you're unbothered by it that you can have the clarity of like, ah, I know what needs to happen next. I'm not being goaded into action by, you know, propaganda or my enemy trying to trick me.
Hmm.
I'm clearly deciding as a sovereign entity, I know what actually is in the best interest of my cause or my army or, whatever,
Or my personal battle,
Yeah. So that star represents like the ability to sort of let the small stuff roll off your back. That's what
Well,
regal energy is.
and that star has in the middle medieval astrology world become associated with Archangel Raphael,
Hmm.
which also takes you to the tarot card of the lovers, which also takes you to the alchemical balance between masculine and feminine.
Mm.
So I think a lot of times it all boils down to like the world is polarized. I studied with shamans in South America and both, well, mostly in Ecuador and the Andes. And they have this like lore about the condor and the eagle. And the North American and Western culture is the eagle, and the Southern hemisphere is the condor. The condor is the heart, and the eagle is the head, and that this balance needs to be rediscovered where we're not operating
Mm.
from one or the other. So the
Yeah.
principles of how the world operates, right, is out of whack. You could say that it's very masculine at this time.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I've heard another, this might be Native American and I don't know what tribe, but that sometimes the head leads and the heart steers. So the heart is what keeps you from getting too mechanical or too, unhuman it keeps you human. Other times the heart leads and the head keeps you from getting too emotionally, off court, like being a zealot or like doing something crazy because you're just over emotional about it. So yeah, they need to complement each other, right?
Well, and then in the spiritual awakening tradition, the masculine and feminine are the currents on the side of the spine, right? So you got the nadi, Pingala and Ida, and those two currents are supposed to come together from cold and warm, or King Sol and Queen Luna. They're supposed to come into the joining or the merger of those two energies. And in our world, the Sufis will say, feeling, thinking, yeah, you got to come into the knowing space, the knowing heart. And the knowing space is beyond your feelings and thinkings, but you must understand that
Right.
there's something that needs to happen before that's true. And that has something to do with like hot, cold becomes warm. Something has to come together. And our world has become a fear-based control structure, masculine dominated, Western eagle, oriented, conquesting, power greed culture. The West has dominated, that masculine has dominated. And if you spend any time in South America, I mean, especially with indigenous peoples, you see that the culture is running on a very different principle.
Mm,
It's what's is it good for you and me? Not is it good for me and not you? It's a circular, and it's collaborative, and it
mm,
generates the ideal of cooperation versus competition, and not either is
mm,
good or bad. You need to merge them a
mm,
bit.
mm. Yeah. Ooh, that's a big ask.
That's a big ask. That's why we need a UFO to land. Okay, so any chance then that with all of this water and all this whistleblower stuff this fall, and with Pluto and Aquarius and Uranus and Gemini, do you think we're going to see any evidence by the end of this year, especially the Mercury and Scorpio, to my mind? Maybe there's underwater UFO bases, but are we going to find any evidence that we are not alone? Any feelings on that at the end by the end of this year?
Yeah, my feelings about that stuff. I mean, in fact, I was just reading about this on Substack. The UAP UFO phenomenon in the Middle Ages, that would have been an angelic explosion of angelic sightings. It's couched within that's always been here. In the Dark Ages, it would have been the little people. It would have
The
been,
fairies,
the
the fairy
fairies.
lights. Yeah.
Those non-human intelligences have always been with us, and they've always been tricksters. You don't know if they're good or bad necessarily unless you're trained to do that. or unless you ask them. I don't know how you were trained in shamanism, but like when I encounter in a non-ordinary state of awareness, when I encounter another being, you ever notice what Dorothy says to Glinda when she first meets her?
I don't remember. Tell me.
Are you a good witch or
Uh,
a bad witch?
yeah, I know. No. Yes,
No,
absolutely.
sorry, that's what Glinda says to Dorothy.
Okay.
Glinda, the experienced one, says, "Hello, are you a good witch or a bad witch?" The first thing she says, dude. And so, and so my answer is just like that. I don't think, again, we've bifurcated into this. It has to be a ship with little green men because we live in a materialistic paradigm. I don't think there's any ships with little green men. That doesn't mean I don't think there's extraterrestrials. It just means that for me, they would be either angels or fairies or non-human intelligences, you know?
Right.
I
Well, and
saw one out on the parkway, dude, during the pandemic.
I've seen two
But
with my eyes, two non, they were UFOs in this life. With witnesses with me. But what I'd say about that, because I love this elemental water of discovery and what's under the surface as well, but it just feels to me a little bit like, yes, you could say that there are interdimensional beings or astral plane energies or other,
yeah, whatever you want to
but,
call it. I
and we
mean,
have such a limited perceptual field of the
and
visible
that's
light
their
spectrum.
power. They are disruptive to that.
Well, they can move
They
in and out of
force us.
visibility.
They
They can move.
they do not make sense. You are never going to make sense of an encounter with one of these things. It's
Yeah.
not going to make sense. You don't have the faculties to make it make sense. And that is the gift of it. It forces us out of our sense making, and when we are forced out of our sense making, then we have to allow that attachment to that as our identity to fall away. And when we do, it creates a crack in our ego and it allows for a rebirth to happen, essentially.
Yes, that's the good old Leonard Cohen song. There's a crack in everything, and that's how the light gets in, right?
Exactly, man.
Certainly these phenomena that the shamans of the world. I was with Credo Mutwa in Africa studying with him for 2 weeks years ago before he passed, a Zulu lineage holder shaman, and they take it for granted that there are non-human intelligences, right? Like
Exactly.
just like the Hopi do. Like it's
They
not like
take it for
they
granted
take
that
it.
everybody talks to the stars. Well, I think that might actually, no, yeah, that's in Africa. I heard that story. Like they found a guy who didn't, they were saying, talking about talking to the stars, and he wasn't chiming into the conversation. They're like, "You don't talk to the stars, dude?" And he's like, "Nah, dude." And they were like devastated for him, man. They're like, how can you put one foot in front of the other, bro? You know?
That reminds me of the story about when the indigenous people, the Hopi people, met the white guys, and they were like, why is the crown chakra closed? Why is this
Mm,
blocked? Like, what's going on? They could see that. It's like they know the whole Kiva experience is really about the crown chakra metaphor, and
mm,
literally that they could see that the European guys had no access here. This was shut. And I think that's
interesting.
fascinating too. It's literally
Yeah.
like being handicapped, but not knowing you're handicapped because you're not able to reach beyond your own limited little,
And
container.
that's ultimately, like, for me, going back to the asteroids and stargazing, that's the power. The power in being out with the sky is that it opens you to some vast intelligences. And these are, by the way, these are non-human intelligences. Hello.
Yeah.
We don't need UAPs to experience non-human intelligence, yo. And that's what these planets are. And and so that, like, I was talking about this. I did a talk for ESAR recently where I was like, look, ceremonial magic is supposed to be about expanding your consciousness, right? Like the ritual and the incense, it's like this dramatic thing to like whip you into an ecstatic frenzy of ritual worship energy, right? A sunrise can do that better than any human ritual could ever possibly do. I go out and see the sunrise and I'm literally crying because it's so friggin' beautiful, dude. And I
Mhm.
can literally put myself in the place of like, I remember one time I was watching the sunrise after photographing whatever planet or whatever thing, that I went out there for, and I stayed to see the sunrise. And the rational part of my brain was like trying to get ahead of my work for the day and like trying to check in, like, okay, the sun's risen now. And literally the question came up, what day is it? And I remember responding, it's the first day, dude. Like, look.
Oh, I love that story. I think that the value of being receptive to the real sky is it can't be overstated. Watching Venus as a sparkly diamond
Ah,
mid-February becoming visible, and watching Mars as well slowly become more and more visible after mid-March, and interfacing with the energy. And Babylonian astrology, they would say like the planets are emissaries or messengers for, like Mars is a messenger for the Nirgal, so it's like a portal. It's a portal energy as well, but it's
yeah,
also a portal to a type of consciousness as well.
a daimon, perhaps
A
the star.
daimon, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's and again, that's very much what they would have called, the Greeks would have called Mercury, the planet Mercury, the star of Hermes, or the daimon of Hermes. And by the way, there were daimons for trees, and there were, there was daimons. The world was full of daimons.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
world was full of non-human intelligence.
Everything is consciousness, and consciousness
Exactly.
takes many forms and has many different characteristics. And I talk to trees myself, had some great conversations, but they talk really slow. Trees talk slowly. You have to like really lean in and like
You
be
have to sit and get quiet if you want to hear it. Yeah,
yeah, but because
100%.
their whole timeline is slow, unless it's like a sapling, I guess. But the trees I've talked to, it's like, okay, I get the most amazing information or downloads, but nothing is rapid fire, right? I'm sure if I was talking to a dandelion, it would be different. Okay, so we're going to round this conversation up because this is a part of a bigger video. So we ended up going all over the place. But you know what's so beautiful about that, Gary? Where we went is water. We meandered
Pretty
through
much.
the Piscean and the Cancerian and the Scorpionic water realms, and every kind of conversation from the shamans to the mystical to everything. It really became about water. Like the water took our conversation over.
Yeah, the mystical experience of being, with the unconscious or with non-human intelligences or whatever you want to call it, like that other side. Yeah,
And
yeah,
even this conversation wasn't like, bullet form what we're going to talk about. It became a meandering river of
right?
where it was going to go. Yeah, it was beautiful, actually. So,
Cool.
reminding everybody, because we're going to like round it up now so that I can do the second end without you, we are going to put you. Everyone go to his Substack because I'm loving Gary's writing over there. Gary also shares other great astrologers that or content he finds and reposts them called Restacking. I end up loving the people you've brought to my attention, including the girl who does that one about the metanoia. I love her now. I subscribe. So
Right on.
yeah, so we have community over there. If you're into astrology, there's a lot of great astrologers, and we all support each other. And I think you're going to love Gary's writing as well. So everyone, definitely go check him out at Substack
Thank you, Laura.
for sure.
Thank
And
you
then,
very
of
much.
course, his website and his speeches and his new
Mm.
coming out, all of that. And I'll put all the
And
links in the description box too.
yeah, yeah, and some of the stuff that I mean, that recommendation that you gave me, like Gary's the person I go to remember that astrology is a path to becoming or path to awakening. Like I was like, oh my God, she gets me, you know.
Mm.
That was so nice. And yeah, the stuff that you put out, I mean, the sheer volume of stuff that you put out, I'm just like in awe of. I mean, you've got that Aries fire like burning. You're
Yeah,
burning
you
the candle at both ends and in the middle, I
and you
think.
got Saturn on the ascendant, so it makes for a formidable, hardworking energy.
Oh my
Also,
goodness.
another one. Since we're just chatting, everyone's gonna listen. I love Damien Eccles. Have you been reading his stuff?
Yes. Yeah,
Oh
he's
my
definitely
God,
one of my favorites.
me too.
He's like a Zen guy, in addition to the astrology and magic and stuff. Well, mostly the magic is what I came there for. I didn't realize he's like a Zen guy.
No, and I so enjoy his writing as well.
Yeah,
So
that perspective is really
yeah.
great
Yeah, I
because
need to put him on my recommended list too because I'm now regularly reading him.
I tried to do that and I don't know. it seems like there's different kinds of profiles on there, maybe, or something.
How to recommend people, you mean?
Yeah, they're
Well,
like,
I kind of have like five people right now, five astrologers that I like. You're one of them, I think, where people
yeah,
that I recommended you. Yeah.
yeah, same here, but I didn't see that on his, and so I'm not sure if he has the same kind of
Oh,
profile, if
I'll
there's
figure it
different
out.
kinds of pro. Yeah, let me know if you do,
I
because I
will.
would love to hit him up for one myself.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, right
Well,
on.
it was so enjoyable. I love the meander. I love the
Thank you,
flow. I love
dear.
the mystical stuff.
Yeah,
And Gary, you're one of my favorite people. So thanks for coming onto my channel. And I'm not sure
anytime.
when this is going to be out. And I'll put you on the collab. And everyone,
Sounds great.
Gary's saying goodbye, and I'll do the all signs afterwards.
Bye, everybody. Happy
Bye.
watering.
Happy
Let
watering.
us know if you see any UAPs.
Oh my God. Bye, my dear.
Uh,
Oh, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Gary Caton. We're going to go ahead now and talk about your sign and how an elemental water year throughout 2026 could impact your life, knowing that the signs of Cancer and Scorpio and Pisces are lit with Mercury activity for 6 out of 12 months. Obviously, there's a huge weight in those parts of your chart. We're going to go through it today based on your sign. You can listen for your sun sign, your moon sign, or your rising sign. Over time, you'll seemingly, most people identify with the rising sign. When you begin to wake up like Neo in the Matrix, you begin to identify more with your sun sign. Your rising sign is your simulation character, and the game player itself is your sun. Let's talk about one more thing before we do the all signs. And I hope you had a time to listen to Gary and enjoy that interview. I know a lot of people, you jump straight to the to the all signs delineation. I really recommend you listen to what he has to say. There are some nuggets of deep insight that you'll take you a lot further than what I'm about to do today. Okay, so we know that the elemental energies of Mercury will dominate the sky, making water very powerful for each of us. Let me show you something. And if you got a pen or a paper or a notepad or your notes, get ready also to take some notes. But I want to show you a picture of something, which is I want to show you a screenshotable even of how this cycle looks in astrology using astro.seek, astro-seek.com. Okay. Take a peek at this baby here. All right. This is basically what we're talking about. You can see back in 2019, right up here, that a retrograde Mercury began to linger with this, story of Pisces. This would be the conjunction with the sun. So it's not the only thing, right? Because Mercury's in Pisces and eventually he meets the sun there, but it's an important thing. And take a look at this time frame of 2019 March through to 2020 October. That is exactly the last time you felt this energy in your life. And you see it starting up again in November 20th of 2025 and dominating the sky all the way till November 4th of 2026. But then we even bump a little further down to the summer of 2027. So in essence, it's kind of like saying 2019 and 20 is a lot like 2025 and 2026 with a little touch point in 2027. So you're going to experience a cycle repetition and pattern recognition of themes that dominated through your life in 2019 spring, alrighty, until the end of the year in 2020. If you want to take notes, and this is where I'm asking you to get a pen or a paper, it might be handy. There are other water cycles behind us. For example, we had a water cycle throughout 2012 and 2013. We had a water cycle throughout 2006 and 2007. We had a water cycle through 1998 to 2000. And I'm bringing this up so you can compare the cyclical cycle repetition and pattern recognition is my expression, okay? Cycle repetition and pattern recognition allows you to time your best life by comparing notes to other times. It's never the same twice. But for example, every 12 years, Jupiter will move through Cancer. He's in Cancer now through till the end of June. This is a very powerful and positive development. In fact, he was in Cancer in November on the 20th. So that means as Mercury in November of 2025 moved through the sign of water, Scorpio, he was in a flow state to Cancer where Jupiter was sitting. And therefore, you can basically say, in the most simple of terms, this was a profoundly blessed and positive version of this cycle. And you'll also notice the cycle keeps repeating on the regular. So we're talking about 1920, and then we're jumping to 2025, 26. So in essence, it's roughly every 7 years. So now what we're going to do, and remember, I talked too fast, 98, 2000, 2006, 2007. 2012, 2013, and then of course here we are, 2019, 2020, and 2025 and 2026. So I hear a lot of curious minds right now asking a question: was Jupiter in Cancer, his exaltation, really powered up in any other of these examples I just gave you? And the answer is yes. In 2013, it would be in the month of June, we saw Jupiter move into Cancer, and he was there for a year. And it would be the summer, the July of 2013. It would have been more than just July, like June, July, August of 2013. And later on, like October, November, December of 2013, that Mercury was moving through the water signs. Well, Jupiter was also in Cancer. So this is going to remind you in your life the most similar to the second half of 2013. So if you want to go and think about the second half, the last 6 months of 2013, everybody, that's your closest approximation of the dates I already gave you, right? 98, 2000, 2006, 2007, 2012 fall, all through 2013, and on when we go 2019, 2020. So it's good to always compare. I find that, comparisons make cycle repetition and pattern recognition useful. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do your sign. We're starting with Aries. We're going to talk about the elemental water year, my guidance for you in 2026 for this particular story. I'm feeling a call to grab an oracle deck, and I think I want to grab the animal spirit deck. Okay, so give me a minute to add to it. Let's find it. I don't know why, it just feels right. By Kim Kranz, and let's see if by any miracle I can find the actual book that goes with it. In here somewhere. Happens when you have a ton of oracle decks and bits and pieces are scrambled all over the place. Okay, it's here somewhere. Yeah, oracle. All right, I'm coming back to you guys. I'm going to go dig it up. It could be in my bedroom, but we're going to talk about the astrology, of course, and I'll add an animal spirit that will guide you through the water energy of the 2026. 3 stops in the sign of Pisces. Okay, so give me a sec. I'll get the old book handy somewhere. And today we're going to start with Pisces, and we'll get rolling into why Pisces, because you guys are a water sign. Let's give you a break. Never last, never least, best and always best. Okay, let's get rid of that mess and let's roll. So Pisces, sun, moon, and rising. It is an elemental water year. You're made of water. You're a zoet, poet mystic of the zodiac and the zoet mystic of the podiac. You're one of those types, very, very, flowy and deep and mystical and sometimes adaptable and flexible and change your mind a lot. Sometimes you procrastinate, by the way. Those two tails are tied together, the two fishies. But I will give you this. You are having an experience. It's going to take you back to like 2019, 20 and 2012, 2013. And it's more like the second half of 2013, which I've already introduced. And what we're having happen is during 2026, Mercury will spend a lot of time in the signs of Pisces and, and here, right? And here, Cancer and Scorpio. And the interesting part of that is this is going to happen like February, March into mid-April. Well, he will be moving through the sign of Pisces, your sign. And then he'll spend a dog's age, June, July into early August. Next, he'll move over and spend a dog's age over here in Cancer, where we will have an exalted Jupiter hanging out, right, until June the 30th. So it kind of makes June 1st to June 30th a holy moly kind of moment for you, because you're going to have Jupiter there. It's a very powerful time. And finally, in your house of children, fertility and luck and goodness and fun and joy. And then we're going to talk about October. September, October, November, all 3 months, well, end of September. So all of October and November, you're going to have Mercury hanging in Scorpio way up here. So these houses, 1, 5, and 9 are called Dharma houses. It's about your meaning of life, your significance in life, feeling like you're aiming for purpose, a purpose driven, in quotes, life. And you might find yourself called to find purpose through expressing your natural talents and gifts in the world, through going back to school and educating yourself, by reaching into writing, publishing, and podcasting metrics. Ninth house can take you there. But a lot of this is just going to try to bring you into alignment with why you're on the planet. You're going to try to line up with who you're meant to be. And you may also have some blessings, such as the birth of children or grandchildren coming off of the sky. And so that energy is flowing through your world in the year of 2026. And it's going to remind you, because it started in the fall of 25 and it kind of finishes in 27, but it's going to remind you a lot, of course, of 2012-13. It's the second half of 2013, and also 2019 and 2020. How can you use this pattern recognition and cycle repetition archetype in order to navigate through the year ahead? And I would say that one of the best things to do is pray, because the ninth house is the house of God. And there's an element of finding a spiritual and devotional path, or a path of knowledge and understanding, that allows you to place yourself firmly in the landscape of a spiritual ideology that takes you back to purpose and puts you on track with your life. Now, of course, the ninth house can also be that you're going to focus on distant shores and foreign people and places, right? So maybe you'll have a lot of foreign travel or foreign events going on in your sky. But for some of you, you might move to a foreign country. And I hear you. Why? Because Mercury is the lord of your 4th house. And he's going to be dominating the Scorpio landscape all through September, late September, October, and November. And that could be a time in which you wish to move your home somewhere else. And if that happens, I wouldn't be surprised. And because Mercury, even though he dominates the significance landscape, is the ruler of home, this is the kind of thing where you could have children in the home, you could have more grandchildren in the home, you might want to move to a foreign land or foreign shore. And you're also focused on being commercially successful, if you can, and creatively and entrepreneurially successful in and from your home. Now, this is always going to be different for each of you. This is a general reading, but for Pisces, sun, moon, and rising, consider those variables. Now, I'm going to draw a card for you from the Animal Spirit Oracle deck. And I got the black egg, and I'm not going to go back and forth between me and the screen today. It takes too much time. The black egg isn't one of the real cards. It's a mystical card. It has to do with spiritual awakening or something, because it's not an animal. So you got a high level card here, like in terms of the quest for awakening. It's speaking from an authentic voice and the truth. It is, I think, the throat chakra. It is the 5th chakra, the throat chakra. So the black egg, it contains, Pisces, one of life's essential treasures. The truth inside of it resides. No confusion, excuses, small talk, noise, lies, not even white ones. This living and breathing vessel harbors only that which rings true. When this essence is in balance, we speak slowly and clearly. We are drawn to the activities like writing. I told you, writing and publishing is in here. Breakthroughs in writing and publishing for some of you. Okay. That can also be podcasting. When this essence is in balance, we speak slowly. We are drawn to activities like writing, reading, teaching, singing, and perhaps public speaking. Sounds can draw us in. Books draw us in. The concept of truth itself draws us in. We start asking questions like, what do I know to be true about myself? What is true about the world? And when the energy of the black egg is not yet accessed, we speak from an unsure place. We say things others want to hear. We gossip, or we repeat stories to justify our subpar behavior. We might even try to convince ourselves that we have no inner truth at all. The energy of the black egg hovers and wants for us to reconnect. It's available at every moment, in every situation. It's the epicenter of truth and the birthplace of our inner voice. Hopefully you watched the introduction to this segment, but there are parallels to 1998 and 2000, 2006 and 2007, 2012, 2013, 2019, and 2020. It is more similar, okay, to the last half of 2013. Alrighty, Pisces, get ready, get set, buckle up. This is your year to have an incredible journey. What about Aries, sun, moon, and rising? I have a sun and moon, so in that regard, I get it, guys. For you, you might find that this is a deeply spiritual story. The 12th house is a moksha, spiritual liberation, awakening from the matrix zone of reality. Having Mercury dominate this part of your sky for so very long, from February the 7th to April the 15th, will take you down a rabbit hole of spiritual understanding, questing, dreams at night, meditations could be profound. Something here in your solitude and your alone time is going to be very important. Now, you can go alone anywhere or you can travel, because this can be distant shores and lands as well. So ashrams, time out corners, and contemplative space. My son is happy to be going to Mexico during February 7th to April 15th to have some spiritual questing space for myself. But just know that the energy of the 12th house owns your awakening process, and it's good for like soul work, karmic clearing, hypnosis. I'll be doing hypnosis in this window and more. At the same time, you've been through this journey, of course, before, because, here we have all this activation in the 12th house, spiritual liberation. Then in June and July to early August, the movement heads down to 4th house of home and property and land and real estate and domicile. Sometimes Mercury, Mr. Negotiator, could have you relocate your home and move between June 1st and August the 8th. And then we see the next phase of this, the 8th house of deeper liberation the liberation from egoic consciousness, but also the occult mysteries, magic, tarot, hermetic wisdom. This 8th house gets deeply activated September 30th to December 5th. And this 8th house is all about also money that you get from inheritances and spousal support agreements and shared resources with your partner, investment monies, etc. So we have that, but it still has the moksha liberation spiritual quest within it. All of these houses, 12, 4, and 8, help you disidentify from the egoic self in some way, right? Breaking from your tribe, culture, family of origin, breaking free of the egoic consciousness and its identification with a fictional self, and then full on moksha liberation to, I would say, like if I was using the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi stuff, I say cosmic consciousness is the 4th house. God consciousness is the 8th house, and unity consciousness is the 12th, for those of you who know what I'm talking about. So it's a profound spiritually awakened time for you. If you go back to 2019 and 20, you might have experienced something similar. I had a massive breakthrough at the tail end of 2018. So there was a pre-shock spiritually, but it also can remind you more of 2012 and 13, in which I had another spiritual awakening at the very end of 2011. So I can also say that you feel it. It's that song, feel it coming in the night, da-da. What's that song? I can feel it coming. You're probably going to have some pre-quakes before we get to this deeply spiritual energy next year. All right, so let's draw an animal card for you, because I'm giving you my sun and moon and Aries and how it worked for me, that just as I was getting ready for these moksha houses to happen, literally, like at the tail end of, the year before, 2011, 2018, I had massive spiritual breakthrough, but it lasted and deepened very strongly in the year or two that followed. So there you go for spiritual types. I also should say you can make money in new ways when it comes to digital income, borderless revenue, move to another country or make money in another country. You've got the crow. You guys know I love crows, right? There's a crow there, caw, caw. And what do we want to say about crow medicine for you as you journey through this incredibly intense window of time of a water space and a moksha spiritual space as well? Flow, emotions, intuition are all super, super highlighted, as Gary and I talked about already. Go watch the interview, guys. Do the guy a good one, Go off to his channel, give him a subscription, help him out. You'll love his writing on Substack. Spiritually strong and creative and watchful. You will be, okay, my fellow Aries. Spiritually strong, you will be creative, and you will be watchful. Hear that, Eileen, my agent in waiting? I will get that damn book thing done. The crow has long been a symbol of magic. A crow personality is drawn to the supernatural. And you know what? It's so funny. You know, Mercury has lordship over Gemini for us Aries, and that's writing, communicating, teaching, and all of that, and writing, right? So there's the writing house that Jupiter, Mercury owns, and also it's good for our work life and our health as well. But through intuitive flowing energies. Um, the crow holds within its mind's eye. And if you're going to move, guys, with Jupiter down there and Jupiter can help you, look to the whole month of June, right? Because that's when Jupiter's still there and also Mercury's entered into Cancer. There's some glorious luck in the whole month of June around maybe getting a lucky break about a move somewhere if you want to move, all right? Or you could get legacy wealth or inheritance money coming to you from your family system or your partner's family system. All right, so sorry about that. I'm all over the map. A crow is drawn to the supernatural, the eighth house, a gift for seeing the unseen, the eighth house here, knowing the unknown. It's said that the crow holds within its mind's eye the three realities of past, present, and future. Crow energy is potent and it should only be tapped into when the mind is clear. Those with crow tendencies must balance their life with a healthy diet, joyful friendships, and regular self-study. Well, that's the third house, sixth house story. When in balance, psychic, strong, and clear. When you're out of balance in 26, you will be ungrounded and hypersensitive. And to keep yourself in balance, daily meditation practice. So, okay, well, I already do daily meditation practice every morning at 6:30 a.m. So that's hopefully going to continue. I just started that ritual in September. We're going to move on away from the Aries sun, moon, and rising and talk about Taurus. Now, Taurus people, there is a story going on here where this water year elemental is going to remind you, as I keep telling everyone, please listen to the intro to the all signs of 98, 2000, 2006, 2007, 2012, 13, 2019, 2020. Here we are again, 2025, 26. It started there and a little bit into 27. Now, the energy is completely more like the last half of 2013 because we have some support from Jupiter, okay, into this whole storyline through till the end of June. So we can kind of vibe a bit with that year, 2012, 13 vibe, a little bit more. Now, I would say to you that the houses that are active are 11, right? This is your Pisces house, and 3, your Jupiter third house. And of course, your 7th house of marriage and committed love. There's going to be a lot of relational focus this year on social groups, friendship circles, maybe even traveling to visit friends, as well as consolidating your relationship in your significant other space. Depends on how old you are. Did you have significant relationships unfold in 2019, 20? How did that feel, etc.? Partly with Mercury in the 7th and Jupiter in the 3rd. If you're a writer, communicator, social media beast, you could have some very interesting developments on those storylines this year, especially in the fall. Now, it is February through to early mid-April, all of February sort of to mid-April, that will feel the Pisces sky, Mercury through here. It's really good for career gains as well. It's as if you could have some new deals or negotiations, right? Look at that Venus-Mercury energy that starts us off in February. And Saturn wants to give you stable long-term career gains and a new golden opportunity as you quit or leave a career. You know what I mean? Then we get to June through August 8th, and then we're moving down into this. You might change your neighborhood. You might want to get more involved in writing, communicating, speaking, and teaching and learning environments. And writing and teaching is going to be great for you at any time, whether you're the learner or the teacher. And then you move yourself into September. And that will be September 30th to December 5th. And you're all about relationship stuff. Now, other than that, some of you might be marketing and selling and pushing communications into an audience, right? A marketplace, a fan club. Otherwise, Mercury here is really very much a relationship story. If you are single looking for a relationship and Mercury is moving through Scorpio, right? And you want to get into a relationship and you're all alone and you're looking for love, Mercury rules your house of falling in love. And so there's a story there. This could also include fertility stories. So if you always wanted to have a child, or you and your partner do, you could end up with a fertility signature of baby making. So there's that stuff. September 30th to December 5th. But if you're looking for a relationship, look no further than October, November could come in at the end of the story. And with Jupiter here, the whole month of June, right, is very fortunate for you. We'll have Mercury moving June 1st into your third house. Jupiter will be here for the whole month of June. It's just very lucky. It could be lucky with siblings, lucky with travel, lucky with teaching, learning, writing, communicating, lucky with neighborhood storylines. I want you to think about what you truly desire in life. And especially given that Venus, the goddess of what we desire, is with Mercury, because these are karma houses. It's a little bit different than Dharma, which is your purpose. It's really, what are the things that you desire in life as a general principle? And don't be afraid of your own desires. And it tends to look like a much more sociable time, more social with friends, family, neighbors, community, more social life with your significant other. And you'll be more happy in your social engagements that you normally are. All right. So, and there'll be some changes in some friendship circles, and there may be some shifts in your relationship, but for the most part, these will be very positive. In fact, I'll be doing videos all along each of these Mercury stories. So please like and subscribe if you want to get some of that content in your reality structures. We're going to draw a card for Taurus and Taurus. Yeah. See what we got. We got the buffalo. The buffalo. Ooh, what's the buffalo going to tell you? The buffalo. What's your message of how to handle this year? Buffalo energy. Starts with a B. Lori, you've got this. The letter B for buffalo. I can only assume that it's going to show up somewhere in the earth element. It's after the mouse. It's after the rabbit. I had a mouse synchronicity a week ago, and I need to read about what mouse means. Grounded yet heavenly. You will be grounded yet heavenly, practical and yet spiritual in 2026 water year. The hooves of the mighty buffalo you're an earth sign. You want to be grounded. Uranus is leaving your sign in April. Praise the Lord. The hooves of the mighty buffalo are grounded in the earth, yet its heart and mind rise toward the heavens. The buffalo sees challenge, hardship, or a bump in the road as an opportunity for upliftment. Therefore, the buffalo does not fear death, illness, or misfortune. Its gentle eyes look to the road ahead, trusting every turn. May we all experience this elusive yet life-changing bliss from time to time. And may we allow this card to remind us that life is a precious gift. When in balance, you are trusting pure presence. When you're out of balance this year, you are restless, and you lack gratitude. And to bring yourself into balance, prayer and bhakti. Bhakti means devotion. All right. Finding that connection, that heart-centered connection to God, goddess energy in your life. So it's not dry mental energy, right? It's where you pray, you love, you reach into the divine part of yourself. And it's a different experience than the idea of God. Okay, that's what I got for you. Let's move on. I can't be hungry. I just ate. All of a sudden, I'm hungry. Gemini, I'm one of you because my sun's progressed. Progressed planets are not as important as your natal. They're an extra layer, icing on the cake of meaning. That aside, I can relate to some of what you're going to go through, I imagine. So we've had this elemental water year before. I put some intro content there, but 1998, 2000, 2006, 2007, 2012, 2013, 2019, 2020. Here we go, 2025, 6 into 7 was it fall of 25. In my view, this is going to look a little bit more like 2013 second half of the year, when Jupiter was also in Cancer. But my final thought about this is money and earnings and work and prosperity and career and job and employees and employer stories. That's because these are Artha houses. Houses 2 and 6 and 10 are lit up. So you're leaning into your professional accomplishments, career success, maybe activating a more flow and intuitive and lucky way with Jupiter's help to increase your success. And my progressed sun in 2019-20 was already here, right? And that's when I built and began my astrology business online. So there is also the potential for something to reset and to be brand new as well. So in 2012 and 13, I also started a new career path. I started the Awakened Dreamer blog. 2019-20, I started this channel. So Lori can pretty well imagine, as a progressed Gemini sun, I'm going to be doing something here that's going to move me into a new beginning in my career activities. Now, if you want to consider that we start the like February 7th to April 15th off with Mercury and Venus. For how exalted, how lucky is that up here? You're going to find there's something quite lovely about the 10th house experience in the month of February, in the month of March, to the middle of April. And once Mercury is no longer co-present with Saturn, which will happen on the Valentine's Day, then it kind of even says Valentine's Day to April 15th. You're having something feel really good in the career space. Venus is up there for 3 weeks of that, bonifying it all. It could feel like a celebrity or popular appeal or more love and joy in the work you're doing in the world that people see you doing. And Mercury up here is the announcer. So you might be doing a lot of speaking, talking, and communicating, right? With your little microphone. It's just a lot, but it's good. Negotiating a new contract, a new deal in work, getting an elevated position, a raise or a promotion. And this could take you, that story, through February, March into mid-April. And then we move into the next story, June 1st to August 8th. And now you're in the second house of money, earnings, and resources. June 1st to June 30th, when Jupiter's still here along with Mercury, that's good news financially. That can be a major change in your financial stature or a lucky break, most likely connected to your work, paying off debts. You could get an inheritance. You could make a stock investment that takes off. Lots of ways it can play out, but it's going to love up and lush up your finances, but it also could be through the work route itself. And then on September 30th to December 5th, then we work about our magic in the Artha 6th house, where it's all about employers, employees, work routines, habits. This is also the house of rental agreements for property rental, landlord-tenant stories, and possibly pets. So when Mercury's here, September 30th, December 5th, you may rent a new property. You may move into a different home. You have the money. You might experience a desire for a pet. I'm going to get a dog. I had a dream. My old dog is coming back to me. And so there's something there for you. This is also going to be working on information and news that you need to improve your health through dietary habits and change of dietary style in 2026. Now, that can even include hormonal treatments with the way the sky goes. Cancer is the mammary glands. Scorpio is urogenital. So anyone else like me in menopause, we might be dietarily changing our habits in order to improve our hormone profile or something like that. Now, and you might have said, did I do anything like that in 2019-20 or 2012-13? Damn well, sure I did. 2013, I went to a women's clinic and found out that I didn't have enough hormonal problems yet, although I felt I did. And then 2019-20, I also kind of dipped in and out of the possibility of helping my hormones balance. I didn't really do anything though, but there you go. Now let's talk about the card that you're going to need to tune into, because everyone gets a animal spirit card. And what is yours today? And yours is the lion. Hear me roar. You are acting like a lioness or a lion. Let's take a peek at what that means clearly. It's got an upward thing. I think it's a fire in this book. It's about fire. Yes, it's fire. Here we are. You are patient, regal, and a complete master in 2026. You have to play your cards right. The lion is a master of the fire element and the living mascot of self-transformation. A lion personality dedicates their life to the personal and spiritual growth. This dedication inspires some and intimidates others. Therefore, the lion is respected by all, but known intimately by very few. Some mistake the lion as hard to access or aloof, yet those with a keener eye know better. Lions are observant, stealth, and precise in their word and in their action. They do not waste energy or resources. This card reminds us that self-mastery is available to all, no matter where our quest begins. And to be in balance in 2026, you are the epitome of peace and strength. And if you're out of balance, you are withdrawn, you're too serious. And to bring yourself into balance, daily meditation and friendship. Oh my God. Those both really, really resonate for me, both meditating and friendship. All righty, let's move into the Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. You're one of the water signs getting lit up this year in an elemental water year. Mercury has been elemental water yearing 6 months out of 12 back in 1998, 2000, 2006, 2007, 2012, 2013, 2019, 2020. And here we go, 25, 26 into 27. It started in November of 25. I'm repeating this because some of you just won't watch the intro content. So first of all, you've got Jupiter's blessings with you till the end of June. He'll be high speed direct motion March 11th to the end of June. The backdrop of that is just, okay, every 12 years you get this Jupiter blessing. Did you get chubby? Did you get pregnant? Are you just lucky? Do you feel good about life? Are you faith and optimism on an all-time high? Are you following a spiritual path now? Those things can happen in your chart. However, the lights of the movement of the Mercury story in 26 is purpose and meaning of life, dharma. You're aligning your gifts and talents with a unique skill set and purpose that you're here to achieve. You're getting rid of the chironic wound in the house of work where you really haven't felt lined up. It's wonderful for writing, communicating, book publishing, podcasting deals. It's also really good for you to consider rehoming yourself to a new neighborhood, new city, maybe even a new country. It's also going to wake up a lot of beautiful energy around joy, fun, play, pleasure, and romance, as well as potentially the birth of children or grandchildren. All of that said, this is a year in which you have a window of time, the entire month of June, in which Jupiter is in the sign of Cancer while Mercury's there. It's very lucky. It's a very positive energy. You experience that kind of vibe the last half of 2013, but more connected to the summertime, right? So that would have been your like June, July, August timeframe of 2013, if you really want to be precise. Now, with this energy here, it's as if Jupiter wants you to be very lucky and Mercury wants to give you either ideas or information or news to make you lucky. And you could be lucky in love, lucky in fertility and procreation. You could be lucky in entrepreneurial and writing and communicating and publishing and podcasting and teaching and learning. And you could just be lucky, right? Mercury is the ruler of your third house. I want you to go into the year thinking, I am so lucky, so damn lucky. And while the luck is most precise for you through till the end of June, I want you to think about, I have a pen that has the word lucky on it. I want you to think about what luck means to you. Does luck mean that you're healthy? I'm so lucky, I'm healthy. I want you to identify the kind of luck you like to have here, because I think that luck is yours to grab, and June is one of the best months for that luck. And certainly if you're single, you might come into a new relationship this year, more likely in the fall. All right. Now, one of the other things about these houses, if you've always wanted to be an artist, a performer, set up your own entrepreneurial business, do your own thing, be your own boss, this is a year for that to happen. And that will be more likely available as an option September 30th to December 5th as Mercury moves through your fifth house. It will be in the month of February, March into mid-April that Mercury's up here. And this is going to either get you, this very often with Mercury up here and Venus, a pleasure trip, a leisure trip, a trip to visit a sibling, a trip with a sibling to foreign lands and foreign shores, February 7th to April 15th, for example, or going off on a pilgrimage or going on a spiritual quest. And then when we move you to June 1st to August the 8th, that's when you get that glorious energy of all this moving through you. So there's excitement there. Let's draw a card for you from the Animal Spirit Oracle deck and see what we get. All right, let's move into the shark. You are a shark. A shark. It's just a funny card to pick, isn't it? Well, it is a water animal, and you are a water sign, so we can go with that. Holy Sharksville. I don't know why this came to me. It reminds me when J.D. Vance said that. No, sorry, when that singer that was with Erica Kirk said that J.D. Vance was an assassin. What's her name? And everybody's jaw just dropped. Oh my God. Do we ever live in a weird world these days, guys? I am finding the water symbol, shark. I can't imagine that shark. I have no idea what shark could be, in terms of, I don't think I've drawn that card for myself before. So get sharky, guys. Be a shark. Oh my God. Is it called the Shark Tank? That sort of thing where people do entrepreneurial stuff. I am so warm. I'm warm because my ring light is generating heat. Holy man. Okay, here we go. Shark. Directness, exposure, revealing true nature, and desire. Okay. Now, don't forget, these are Dharma houses to align with purpose and natural talents and gifts. The shark is only dangerous when we don't acknowledge it. This card indicates that something big needs to be exposed. It's lurking in the depths and creating tension. Shark energy takes over. Well, that's the deep unconscious, and all of these water signs bring you in touch with the deep unconscious. Shark energy takes over when we are hesitant to be honest, to be totally ourselves, or to say what we really want. It can be tempting to continue pretending nothing is wrong, but when shark energy is at play, we feel its presence encircling us. So to keep in balance in 26, you will be intriguing, captivating, and mysterious, and out of balance, destructive and sneaky. And to bring yourself into balance, you need to be honest. Oh my God. Oh my God, I can't deal. I'm way too hot. I'm going to change my clothes. I cannot handle the heat. Holy man, I've got my summer linen dress or cotton dress or whatever it is from Italy because I can't take the heat. And it must be extremely warm here in Vancouver today. I'm recording on January 13th. I didn't check the temperature before I put a sweater on. Okay, so let's get back to the story. I know you guys know that this is my style. It's a little on the scattered side. I have people criticize that, and I don't give a flying fuck anymore. What you say about me, I've got over it. All right, so let's move into the next sign. So don't forget, guys, I read shark to you. I hope that wasn't too spiffy fast, but you need to be honest and you need to be captivating, mysterious, and intriguing in 2026. All right. And then we move into Leo, sun, moon, and rising. So for you fire signs, the water signs are your opening to spiritual truth and wisdom, moksha, spiritual awakening, and liberation. Houses 12, houses 4, and houses 8. Now for you guys, I describe this to other people. It's the same thing. You get involved in the occult mysteries. This is matters to do with your home and domicile. This is travel to foreign countries, distant shores, isolation, time alone can serve you. This could also activate educational opportunities. All said and done, you've been through this kind of vibration, as I said, 1998 to 2000, 2006 to 2007, 2012 to 2013, 2019 to 2020, and 2025-26. So this elemental started in November of 25. It ends in 2027. So this elemental water year energy will open you up spiritually. It will open up your intuition, your inner knowing, your unconscious. It's good for soul work, karmic releasing, ancestral healing. It's good for getting definitely more psychic. And it's definitely amazing energy for money that could come in chunks. If you didn't want chunky money right here, you don't have to like earn it. It could be an inheritance, a stock investment, a royalty check. It could be money from a spousal situation. Wherever this money, your in-laws, money can come here in ways that you don't have to make it happen, right? It comes in like chunks of money, right? Even a tax rebate or an insurance payout. These are monies that come in a chunk of money. So your unearned income, that sometimes shared resource monies, are highlighted this year, and they have been highlighted in the dates I already gave you. Now, if you go back and think of 2013, the second half of the year, it's closest to that because Jupiter is in Cancer as well. And so there's a little similarity to that back in that time frame. Maybe you can go back and think about maybe you and the word money. So I have a Leo sun sister in 1998, by the way. 2000, our dad passed away and we got a mini inheritance from him. So you can also definitely call out the inheritance story under this kind of sky, just so you know. Now, one thing I would point to you in this regard most directly is that you might find yourself wanting to be alone. I don't know how else to say it. Jupiter brings wisdom and knowledge in times of aloneness and isolation. And there is some sort of solitude brings good things to you, especially through to midsummer this year till July. So don't be afraid of aloneness. Your alone time is an incubator for you as something good wants to hatch from it, right? Something prosperous, happy, joyful, and true and wise wants to hatch from solitude. So being alone is beneficial. However, Jupiter can bring you opportunity through till June 30th in this water energy to travel to foreign lands and shores. Now, February 7th to April 15th, he will be moving through the sign of your 8th house. Inheritances, taxes, shared resources, deep occult knowledge and wisdom, spiritual breakthroughs and liberation, moksha, to letting go of your egoic consciousness are all very possible at that time. Where June 1st to August the 8th, he'll be moving instead through the sign of Cancer. And that could also bring you into contact with ashram, spiritual gurus, educational directions. Time alone is super satisfying, and especially the entire month of June. Jupiter here can also bring you money from foreign countries, foreign people, export, import, barter trade, but also digital income and borderless revenue. Mercury is commercially successful when he's with Jupiter. So it's a great launch time or money income time from some project that you've been creating if you make borderless income and digital revenue. And then we move to September 30th to December 5th. And then we get this beautiful Scorpio story, and that could move your home. You could sell a home, buy a second home. That's the kind of thing that might occur under the sky of September 30th, December 5th. Mercury is the ruler of your second house of income. And your house of the old sibling one elder. There's something about an elder sibling that's good for you this year. There's stuff about friends and benefactors, new career gains, also matters connected to your earnings, money, and resources can be quite significantly activated. And even to the point where when you're going through that fourth house story, September 30th to December 5th, it may bring you money from the sale of a home as well. Okay, or a property of some kind. So don't be afraid in the fall to think about selling homes, selling property, that kind of thing. Of course, the other element in the fall could be an inheritance situation as well, September 30th to December 5th. And that includes money your spouse could get from his side of the family or hers, so the in-laws. We're going to draw a card for you and talk about the animal spirit energy, and it's dolphin. Oh, I think of play. What do you guys think of when you see a dolphin? Well, let's take a look at dolphin energy and talk about the watery dolphin, right? The watery dolphin. What are you up to, dolphin? I just love the energy of dolphins. I dreamt about dolphins and I've had sort of mystical dreams about them. Okay, dolphin. Innately intelligent. Okay, this is how you are operating, Leo, in 2026, if you got your game on, right? Innately intelligent, healer, light, and blessings. The gifts of the dolphin are beyond what our human minds can grasp. Dolphin personalities are often drawn to the healing arts as they are sensitive to the subtle and enjoy working on the level of spirit. It's easy for dolphin types to underestimate the impact they make on the world. These creatures play such an important role in the wheel of karma that coming into contact with a dolphin type will change the entire course of your day, thus your life. This card, it can also indicate a profound blessing is on the way. When you are in balance, you are an active healer, strong spiritual practice. And out of balance, you underestimate your own power. And to bring yourself into balance, like-minded spirits. Hang out with those like-minded spirits. Okay, how far along am I? We started with that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. We're 6 signs in. Okay, so I'm going to stop the recording, come back and finish the second half because somebody that I'm interviewing is in my waiting room way early. Well, let me just continue going on to do at least 1 or 2 more signs. All right, Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. We want to talk about you experiencing a very relational and desire-oriented karma water year. And it's going to take you into what you desire and what you want in your life professionally, financially, with friends, with social groups, with your long-term committed love and marriage story. Now, I will say that this has happened 1998, 2000, 2006, 2007, 2012, 2013, 2019, 2020, and here we are again, 25, 26, 27, started in the fall of November of 25. So there's similar comparisons, although you will notice the second half of 2013 has a bit more similarity with Jupiter in Cancer overlapping. That said, I would tell you that this is going to open up lots of beautiful new openings for experiencing joyful, prosperous, happy, and increases of social life with friends and friendship circles. This could also look like wedding plans, marriages, proposals, consolidation, and maybe a change of neighborhood or relocating to a new home. Now, when we start off the whole storyline in February 7th to April 15th, you're going to have the energy of Mercury in the 7th house. And that 7th house energy is about your significant long-term relationship. And it definitely can open up a possibility of an increase increasing positive direction in any existing love. Or if you're a single Virgo, bring in a new love relationship to you. Jupiter is trining Mercury as he moves through the 7th house. No complaints there, right? So this is like the second half of 13 is like the first half of 2026. Mercury moving through Pisces in your 7th house could be a proposal for a marriage or agreements and contracts signed in long-term love stories. There's something about February 7th to April 15th where someone could definitely want to make a change in the relationship, negotiate have a conversation, negotiate. Should we move in together? Should we be monogamous? Should we start consolidating our money? These are things that can happen with Mercury in the 7th house, especially given Venus will be there as well for some of that story. And it's going to really feel good on your relationship life. And if you are somebody who markets something to the public, the audience, this is going to increase your success with your outward marketing and selling and promoting things that you care about. Again, February 7th to April 15th. On June the 1st to August the 8th, we get the Mercury story moving through your house of social friendship circles and groups of belonging, a sibling one older. And with Jupiter there at the ingress, there could be news that a sibling is having a baby or a sibling may have a child. The sibling one older in particular. And also the thing you might have here, June the 1st to August the 8th, is you might find yourself negotiating a better terms in your work for more money, for an increase. And this is especially blessed in the whole month of June. If you had to pick June. Like June is ask for the raise, apply for the new job, accept the new job. You're like on fire in June around professional advancement, raises, promotions, more money, more power, more influence in your work. It looks really powerful. June through to August 8th might be a good time for social events with friends, including maybe traveling to visit a friend. And then finally, on September the 30th to December 5th, Mercury's moving through Scorpio. And Scorpio tends to be all about your siblings as a general principle, neighbors, neighborhood things, childhood friends can be here. September 30th, December 5th, you might be doing a significant amount of travel. It can be international or local. And one thing I'd say is that Mercury is the Lord of your sign. He's doing you a favor no matter what happens here this year. And I can see a relocation to a new home between February 7th and April 15th even. Mercury has got your back, or buying a new home or whatever. Mercury's got your back. Mercury's going to bless you. So anyway, as Mercury moves to your 3rd house, collateral blessings can be career advancement, right? So that's the same thing when he moves through your June 1st to August 8th timeframe. So look for an up level in the career, an advancement in your professional success and the agendas of work. Now let's draw a card for you and see what we got. Okay. You are a fish, like a fish in water, guys. Look at that. Wow. Let's take a look at the fish sign. This is another water sign during an elemental water year. No surprise. The cards are lining up. Fish, frog, turtle, beaver, octopus, starfish, fish. Okay, so if you're off your game in 26, you are restless. Well, I don't know if that's restless, but the key words of fish are restlessness, change of focus, and being lost in the current. The fish loves to be subsumed in life's current. Nothing pleases it more than movement, and more movement. I told you guys, some of you are moving this year. The roaming lifestyle of the fish may be exhilarating for a while, but usually it leads to weariness and slippery relationships. With all the possibilities out there in the vast waters, the fish becomes lost without clear goals and intentions. Spend some time with the lunar forces of the fish, as the peace and calm of the moon will soothe your soul. So in balance this year, you Virgos, you are adaptable, you travel well. Out of balance, you are distracted and you change your mind often. And to bring yourself into balance, you need to set small goals and accomplish it. Okay, there you go. So I'm going to pause. I'm going to go see this person I'm interviewing for my channel because I think they're in the room. Well, it's still 15 minutes away. I'm going to continue going on with you. I hope I was sharing that screen with you guys a minute ago. Now I'm wondering if I was not sharing, and I thought I was sharing. Welcome to menopause. All right, let's get going. Thing is, menopause isn't a day in the life of. It's a new brain. It's a new brain. We can debate whether the new brain works very well, but it's a new brain. All right. Let's move on to Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. Libra is a sky that opens up a elemental water year. It can be similar to 1998, 2000, 2006, 2007, 2012, 2013, 2019, 2020. And finally, here we are again, fall of 25, all of 26 into 2027. We have Jupiter blessing you in the 10th house of career, expansion, growth, opportunity, and luck in your career since last summer, June, through to the end of June of 2026. And this elemental year, the first half of this year, is like the second half of 2013. So compare notes, because it does bring you into the artha of money, earnings, career, work, success, prosperity, earnings, money, work, career, success. This is also a year in which you might find yourself wanting to make adaptations to your food style and change your dietary habits in order to improve your health. This is also a year in which bosses favor you, people like you, and you get some kind of amazing God favors the bold here. Your luck in your career space is extraordinary through to the midpoint of the year. And we could even see you getting a pet off of the sky as well, and maybe finding yourself moving to a new property through a rental opportunity this year. And you also might, with Mercury being the natural ruler, you might spend some significant time in foreign lands and countries, taking adventures abroad. In this year, he rules both the 12th and 9th house. And some of you might want to go into some more education and learn something new that helps you professionally. Now, all of that said, let's break it down to February 7th to April 15th. February 7th to April 15th, you're moving through the Pisces sky. Pisces is your work house. It's the house of pets and animals and rental properties. And if you're going to change your home, and under the sky, you sure damn can, you will probably move to a new home. If you're going to do it, it's more likely to happen, in my humble opinion, between February 7th and April 15th. And I love that February brings a Venus transit, bringing lucky opportunities for pets, rental property, employer-employee positivity, even a chance to pay off debts. So we like that vibe for you, February 7th to April 15th. June 1st to August the 8th, you're moving through the Cancer sky. This is going to be career advancement. Jupiter will be up here until June 30th, moving quickly in direct motion. So the entire month of June, good for a raise, a promotion, up levels, asking for the raise or promotion, taking a chance to apply for that new job. These are where you're going to hit a new height of success, especially the whole month of June. And then you might have golden opportunities in your chart, like golden opportunities. I love that word, for career advancement through book publishing, podcasting. Okay, those themes as well. And then on September the 30th to December 5th, from September 30th to December the 5th, you have Mercury moving through Scorpio. Now that's a money house, and Mercury is like negotiations, contracts, buying and selling. A lot going on there during that time, September 30th to December 5th. I don't know if you could buy a property under this sky. You might also just be negotiating new money deals in your life. You might buy something like a car or sell something, right? Either of those things are true. And more or less, if you have a career that involves marketing, selling, or speaking, then possibly you're going to be very, very busy doing all of those things. Now, Jupiter will have left by then in the fall, the end of June, your 10th house, but he's now in the house of social groups of influence and public events. And so this could put you more in a social speaking, talking, communicating things to the world. Mercury will change your dietary habits September 30th to December 5th by giving you the information you need to make the changes that you need. The last card, well, I'm going to pause for that person who's in my waiting room soon, but let's draw a card for you from the Animal Oracle deck. I get to stitch pieces together on this video. The Animal Oracle deck is a panther. You are a panther, Libra. Okay, a panther, Black Panther. In this year ahead, in response to the elemental water year. So what is a panther about? Annihilation of the unnecessary and purging. I told you that you're going to change your dietary habits and styles to improve your health. Okay, it's part of that. The panther won't stand to see our growth or energy stagnate. Instead, it pounces into our lives and causes all kinds of havoc with the ultimate intention of bringing us toward a more fulfilling life. It's unexpected, uncomfortable, and sometimes it feels devastating. But after all, the dust clears and it's easy to see the panther's wisdom at work. We've been through these experiences and they've made us better people. Trust that the panther's journey will always lead to a brighter place. So in balance this year, you are brave and you are productive. It is a career, work, money expression. When you're out of balance, you're self-destructive, and to bring yourself into balance, get rid of the unnecessary. Purge. I'd be purging my food style off of this one. I really would. All right. So thanks for that. I'm going to pause recording and then I'll re-record the next segment, because the astrologer I'm interviewing is way early. So I'll greet her and get her. She's probably nervous and it's going to be a great interview. So I'll finish this up on the other side of my interview with the astrologer waiting in my waiting room. Okay, bye guys. Back, and we're going to continue talking about the signs that are going through this elemental year, and we're going to continue where we left off, which I had finished with Libra. Let's draw in the storio of Scorpio. Okay, I had a little spiritual awakening recently and it made my menopause worse. Okay, storio. Let's get going. I'm going to share the chart for Scorpio. And we're doing a storio for Scorpio. Oh man. Humble brain, come back to me. And here we have it. So Scorpio, it's your turn. I believe we're on you now. I don't think we have gotten to you yet. I would have done Libra last. Okay. All right, Scorpio, you're made of water. You're made of water. And so you are one of those signs like the Cancers and the Pisces who will really vibe out with this. Go back to 1998, 2000, go back to 2006, 2007, go back to 2012 and 2013, 2019 and 2020. Now we go to fall of 25, all of 26 into 2027 summer actually, where you get this elemental water flowing through your sky. Let's break it down. This is a lot like the last half of 2013 in the first half of 2026. That's because of Jupiter's position in Cancer. So think back to your second half of 2013. It's going to be a lot like your first half of 2026. And the first story we have is February 7th to April 15th. Well, first of all, the houses of 9 and 5 and 1 are Dharma houses. You're going to align with your life's purpose, meaning in life. This is also a kind of sky that can produce children in your life and grandchildren. Okay, so those are themes to note. And perhaps some of you are old enough to say, yeah, I had a kid in 1998 to 2000. Did you? Or I had a kid in, 2006, 2007. So go back and compare. Or grandchildren were born, or on and on we go. Now, in this particular February 7th to April 15th timeframe, we'll have Mercury in the fifth house. Now, this is also going to be accompanied in February by Venus's co-presence. This can look like fertility. So you or your children making babies for sure, but it's also really superb for romantic love. And it means more fun, more sex, more affection, more romance could pick up, but also in your own relationship that exists, or if you're single, it could bring in a lovely new romantic infatuation, attention, a lot of communication, a lot of social time, a lot of fun with this person. February 7th to April 15th. So new love could emerge for single Scorpios who want to have a relationship. However, the other element is being very lucky, especially during the month of February, with both after February 7th, all right, through to, probably February 25th, buy a lottery ticket. Take a gamble, do a risky speculation. You could win money here. This is lovely. Now, the other thing I'd say is that you could also be very creative and artistic, exalted Venus in the house of the arts, and Mercury's contracts and negotiations. And you could be getting a deal or a contract for a book, because this is book publishing, for a song you've written, or getting hired in a movie as the star of the show, TV and film, whatever. Like your starlet is shining, your creativity and your divahood is on fire. February 17th to April 15th, diva, devo, don't care which. So you've got a good juice up in that house. This is also your entrepreneurial house. So if you're an entrepreneur, things are going well, you're being well received, you're getting a good vibe with your work, people are loving you up. And on it goes. And as Mercury does this journey here, February 7th to April 15th, it's a good reminder that he's also the proprietary owner of your chunky money 8th house, including residual and added revenue, but also your 11th house, which is the career success, rewards, celebrity gains, and perks of success in one's career. So there's a lot going on in the creative and entrepreneurial house. It could dovetail into more money and more career success as well. Chunky money, that's winning money. So definitely play some lottery tickets or casino games February 7th to April 15th, but know your limit play within it. It's not a guarantee. This is not your personal chart. On June the 1st to August the 8th, we'll be moving through the Cancer sky in the 9th house. The Cancer part of the chart is about the house of God. Oh, it's so heavy, but it's your spiritual ideology, your religious views, your belief closet. It's things to do with knowledge, wisdom, higher education, book publishing, universities. If you're a writer and you want to get something written that's going to be published, yay you. That would be a beautiful story for you, especially as Saturn moves into the livelihood house and rules your house of writing. So you can begin to succeed in that area of your life, and the doors are beginning to open for that to be a true story. June 1st to August 8th. June, the whole month of June, you have Jupiter and Mercury together in your 9th house. That would be book publishing deal, podcasting contracts. That would be international success. That could be having an opportunity to travel internationally with some real powerful spin on being in purpose, on purpose, getting a creative or artistic or contract for the artists in the world through an international venue, a publisher, an international, I don't know what they do these days for musicians and artists, publishing house, an agent to support you, international exposure, that kind of thing. The 9th house can also bring you into contact with a guru or a teacher or desire to go back to school and learn something new, June the 1st to August the 8th already. And then on September the 30th to December the 5th, we see the Mercury story. And the whole month of June is blessed and super lucky. Lucky in love, lucky in children, lucky in grandchildren. This is a house of childbirth and also grandchildren. So potentially there can be a childbirth experience June 1st to August the 8th, giving birth to a baby. I don't care if you're the guy, you and your partner, a baby is born into your reality. So I have a Scorpio rising sun, bless his soul. He and his wife just told me that they're 3 months pregnant and the baby should be coming anytime after July 20th. So there's my son having a baby. You see what I'm telling you? With Mercury, it's the news of a baby. Gender reveal, whatever. Then we move over here to Scorpio. That's you. That's Mercury. That's September 30th to December 5th. You have ideas. You are communicating. You are thinking. You are marketing and selling. You are writing. You are definitely doing something. There's a lot of you going on here. You might be able to compare this to how you felt in the fall of 2026, roughly the same time frame. 2020, I apologize. But you also had the same experience in the fall of 2025. What were you doing? Was it artistic, creative, entrepreneurial? Because in the kind of same time frame, roughly, right? September 30th to December 5th. So the fall into winter of 2025, same in the fall of 2020, same in the fall of 2013. You were in this milieu. What were you doing with Mercury? Were you traveling? Were you writing? Were you communicating? Were you publishing? Were you entrepreneurial? Were you creative? Were you dating someone new? Mercury here makes you very social and fun to be with, activates the romance house. So my son met the girl he's with, who's having a baby with in the fall of 2013. You can't make this poop up. All righty. Now, the only thing I want to mention is that Mercury going through your sign here is also involving a Venus star point. So there's a lot of your life path is changing. Venus's sperm and ovum and fertility. Of course, this begins to activate for you September 30th to December 5th. And there's kind of a new glow for you. And if you're at all creative, artistic, or expressive of artistic and creative things in your world, you're going to amplify that, especially September 30th to December the 5th. All right. Now we're going to draw a card for you from the Animal Oracle deck, and we're going to see what might be going on here. All right. For you. You are a hawk. You are on it. You are in the top of your sky, looking down like a bird of prey. What kind of hawk are you going to be in 2026? If I said 25, I could have, but you know what I mean. I can count the times I've misspoke, like Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising, and it's really Libra or something. And then people get really mad in the comments. But look at the sign here, guys, because then throughout the video, I'll keep saying Scorpio, Scorpio, Scorpio. So if I had started this with Libra and I really meant Scorpio, this is a sign we're on, and you're watching the video to the 9 a.m. position. And I repeat myself. I will say the same thing over and over again because sometimes to go back and try to edit the whole thing, it's not really worth it. Hawk, watchful, all seeing, messenger of divinity. Okay, this is a house of God. I should have mentioned that it's definitely going to open up no more than purpose and meaning in life. It's going to open up your, I think I said it, your spiritual path, gurus, blessed connection to divine wisdom. So the sharp eyes of the hawk watch our every move. This keen-eyed bird has the ability to see every little detail as well as the bigger picture. When this card appears, fate has its eyes on you and the winds are shifting. It's said that the hawk carries news upon its wings and it is sent from divinity itself to deliver. The message should not be taken lightly, though this is like should have been a stork for some of you. Here comes the grandkids. Here come the kids. The message should not be taken lightly, though it may seem small or insignificant. It will eventually redirect your life course. When you're in balance this year, you will see clearly and you will be intuitive. Well, come on, Scorpio. As I said in another video, if you're not using your intuition, you're missing the whole point. So yeah, you are intuitive. Out of balance, you see too much and you are suspicious. All righty. And to bring yourself into balance, you need a perspective shift. Get high above it all. Look down at the big picture. All right. And we move in to Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. This is going to be an elemental water year. It's going to open up opportunities for you to move, to change your home, to maybe to get some inheritance money from family of origin or spousal monies or money from separations in love relationships or that kind of inheritance-y chunky money could come through this axis here of 4 and 8. And finally, this is 12. Ashram, spiritual principles. This is an awakening axis. This is liberation, moksha. This is unplugging from the matrix. And so this energy of 12, 4, and 8 dominates the year. Occult mysteries, diving into the tarot, numerology, astrology, all of those would serve you quite well. Hang on. But I wouldn't be surprised on a practical note if you don't inherit money here. Could be from an elder, for example, but I'm just saying. So some of you might come into money through your spouse, in-laws, or your own family or origin. And if you're going to divorce or separate from someone, which Jupiter can bring in your 8th house, you should come out on top on the financial asset separation. Mercury will be the negotiator for that. Ultimately, some of you might also spend some time in isolation, especially in the fall. We'll get to that. And you might really enjoy the downtime and solitude as opposed to the communal time or the relationship. On February 7th to April 15th, Mercury is moving through your 4th house. He's a negotiator, a deal maker, a communicator, a lot of talking going on in the home. Venus is here to make it pleasurable. You might have a female visitor February 7th, April 15th, a lot of social time with a woman in the home. However, you could also be negotiating or deal making on something that's going to be an exalted Venus narrative. And Venus has a lot of priorities, but one of them is a work deal. Like a job deal. She could also be with Mercury helping you with a career and job path, right? So 10 and 9. So you from the home base, right? You're working on some negotiations and contracts and deals around work and career gains and career. And that could be very much dominating February 7th to April 15th. And Mercury is so not only the ruler of your visible career and reputation, but also your marriage and long-term love. Now, this is where it gets into, are you negotiating, right? Who gets what, and separating assets in a relationship that could predominate February 7th to April 15th. Good news is you're well positioned to do well in those kinds of negotiations. As also possibly you want to sell a property. Venus can be exalting the luck of selling it. Maybe a female real estate agent is going to be looking at a home for you February 7th to April 15th, giving you an assessment, giving you a marketing strategy for putting this property on the spring market. And some of you definitely, I think, are going to think about selling a property. Now, as we move into, you could be thinking of buying or selling a property February 7th to April 15th. June 1st to August the 8th, you're activating your Cancer sky. This is going to feel like the last half of 2013, midsummer to the end of the year, when Jupiter was in Cancer while Mercury was doing its elemental Cancer energy. This is going to bring you back quite more so to the June, July, August of 2013. What were you doing? What was happening then? Because now you've got the same energy back again, and it's going to dominate your time frame of June 1st to August the 8th. And like I said, the first half of 2026 is similar in vibration to the last half of 2013. So when I see Jupiter here, I think bounty, I think luck, and he's going to be here for the first part of June, like June 1st, to the 30th. So he'll be here. Mercury will be joining him. So Jupiter and Mercury would be negotiating, communicating, accounting, annotating best we can, details of money, chunks of money, again, insurance, taxes, rebates, investments, spousal shed resources. It's money that's unearned that could come in a chunk, and inheritances. And so there's a lot of negotiating, communicating, accounting, counting it up, abacus time here, June the 1st to the 30th, also negotiating. And then this is still, Mercury will be here by himself until August the 8th, right? Then Jupiter moves into the house of courts. So some of you then probate or, court delineations on shared monies in a spousal agreement or separation. So a lot of you might be going through that. And this could be a very powerful lucky time, especially the whole month of June, to get things you want in negotiating shared monies with others. And then as you move to September, or negotiating a property sale agreement or a property purchase agreement, June 1st to August 8th, the best window of negotiations that favor you is the first 30 days of June. On September 30th to December 5th, we're going to move into Scorpio territory. Now, a lot of times Mercury is a protector of travelers, and you might want to travel to distant lands and shores during this window of time. September 30th to December 5th can also bring you into a place of solitude and contemplation, where you're contemplating or considering or musing on things to do with love or career path, because these are Mercury's rulerships. Mercury in the 12th house can be a very good time for dreams, and, really get a dream journal. Pay attention to your dreams or meditative insights. From September 30th to December 5th, you might get some incredible spiritual awakening moments, divine downloads, new understanding, because as Mercury on September 30th to December 5th is moving through your 12th house, he's also squaring Jupiter in the 9th. Maybe you want to get a guru, go to the ashram, find a spiritual teacher, apply for a university, college, or educational setting. Those are stories I can see, or even maybe consider a relocation abroad. Now we're going to draw a card for you and see what we get. Okay, there's so much going on with this Mercury guy this year. I'm excited to talk about it. And, one thing about Mercury in water is he's a mute. He's called mute. And a mute sign is a sign that doesn't really speak. So he's all in inner worldy. This is the beaver, guys. You got a beaver. Billy, I know they build beaver dams, for goodness sakes, but let's take a look at this. Beaver, what are you doing, beaver? Well, to be on your A game, you should be a hard worker. Don't forget Mercury rules your house of career. 10th house, loyal, tireless, and family first. Fourth house can be your family, people who live with you, family of origin. Okay. These good-natured and dependable creatures have infinite love and enthusiasm for family and express it by way of the earth elements, such as providing a home and financial stability. Although a beaver doesn't usually initiate a project, once started, they'll work steadily for weeks, months, and years to see the project through. The beaver card appears when the task at hand requires long-term steady effort. Well, Mr. Long-term steady effort, Saturn, will move into the house of the arts, creativity, the muse, and entrepreneurial business, by the way. Mid-February. And it can also signify that it is time for some karma yoga or selfless service. When you're in balance this year, 26, you can be happy and you'll have meaningful work. Yes, Mercury is reactivating from the deep spiritual depth of your true self, new career paths in your life. It can signify that it's time for, karma yoga. So keywords: in balance, you are happy and you have meaningful work. And you're out of balance, you feel useless or worn out. And physical labor and selfless service will benefit you greatly. I love that for you. Physical labor will feel like a better choice once you get Jupiter into your ninth house. Okay. So that is after, it's after June 30th. All right. So let's go ahead and do the Capricorn sky. Capricorn sun, moon, and rising sign. What do we have for you here today? Hang on, make sure that astrologer is not trying to get in my room. Nope, she had a camera issue, so we did get the recording done. You're going to love this interview, guys. Excuse me. Capricorn sun, moon, and rising sign. It is an elemental water year. It will take you back to the energies of your life in 1998, 2000, 2006, 2007, 2012, 2013, 2019 to 2020, throughout those years, and now fall of 25, all of 2026, into the summer of 2027. In this elemental water energy, you are activating desire and relationship energies. These are houses 11 and 3 and 7. So the one overarching theme is desire, comma is desire, and what do you want or desire in life. The other theme is relating to others, one-on-one, one in yourself, within yourself, one on many. So this is a very relational energy that's beginning to open up something for you. Of course, deeper than relating is desire, and desire and relating are togetherly activated. So both are true. I want you to kind of go back and compare to the second half of 2013 that has more resonance, all right, than anything else when Jupiter was in Cancer, which will take you into the first half of 2026 in a similar vibrational frequency. Now, relating can be all kinds of things because it's emotions and others. Okay. It can involve sadness or grief or joy or elation. It's not one or the other. It's a whole spectrum of emotional relating energies to other people. Now, on a practical note, we can talk about February 7th to April 15th, and we can say that on February 7th to April the 15th, you are moving through the Pisces sky with Mercury's help here. This part of the sky is activated. Now, that's a traveling house. It's connections to neighbors and neighborhoods, and sometimes it can relocate you to a new home and a new neighborhood. So go back to the dates I gave you. It can indicate activations of writing, marketing, selling, and success, communicating as well. And what were you doing back in the day? This is kind of a lot like, let's say with Jupiter's support, this is a lot like February to mid-April of 2013, if you want to be directly plugging into the past for cycle repetition and pattern recognition. Then we also can move forward, and siblings belong here too. Connections, communications, emails to siblings. Then we move forward to June the 1st to July the 8th, and we're activating the significant long-term love relationship, audience, marketplace, and clients, public and audience vibe. Now, if you are in relationship as this year progresses, then this is going to mean a lot of communication, maybe a lot of travel coming into the relationship that you already have, right? So if you're not in a relationship, then June 1st to August the 8th could bring a new relationship into your world, but more likely it will be activating a new relationship June the 1st to June the 30th, because we want Jupiter here to bring luck and new relationship at the tail end of Cancer. You could benefit financially from a sibling 3 younger and older, June the 1st to August the 8th. You might also find that this is going to be good if you want to meet a spiritual teacher, expand your audience and marketplace range, or bring into your life wealthy, powerful people that support you in many ways. In this way, they could support you with the following themes. They could support you with work and job opportunities, or things to do with publishing, book publishing, and foreign lands and travel. And so those vibes of those types of people showing up to support you, June the 1st to August the 8th. As we move into September 30th to December the 5th, that window of time wakes up Scorpio, which is career gains, long range goals, wishes, and dreams, social groups, friendships, a sibling one older, and friendship circles. Quite often when Mercury is here, you'll be more socially engaged with your friends. You'll spend more time with people and groups of belonging. You might want to renegotiate yourself into a new long-range plan for career. You might even be negotiating around money and earnings and perks in your career. And also September 30th to December 5th, you might be speaking publicly in front of people, large groups of people, and to having, talks of some kind. So that's the story that we have here, and it's quite exciting. And this could also, in September 30th to December 5th, be the announcement that you might become a grandparent, right? So that's a window of September 30th to December 5th. Or if it's not just an announcement, it's the actualization of becoming a grandparent, September 30th to December the 5th. I'm going to draw a card for you, Capricorn, from the Animal Spirit Oracle about how you want to vibe out with this sky, okay? How do you want to vibe out? You want to act like a crocodile. Well, that's a water critter for sure. Let's see what crocodile wants to tell you. All right, crocodiles. Getting a lot of water, guys, right? You've noticed, right? Fish, shark, beaver, crocodile, resting, submerging, collecting energy, and cooling off. The crocodile reminds us to step back from the external world, Capricorn, and turn inward. Now is 2026 is not the time for decisions, actions, and discussion. The crocodile's mantra is wait. Well, because the desire houses are activated, a lot of waiting is to understand what you truly desire. This does not mean lying around, however, hoping life's challenges will disappear. The crocodile is much smarter than that. It means intentionally withdrawing, gathering awareness, observing, and building energy. Fill up the vital reserve so your next move comes from a place of wisdom and from power. Once you get Jupiter on June 30th into your 8th house, the waiting, the wisdom, the power is going to emerge, right? You may not be clear until then, just letting you know. When you're in balance, you are wise, patient, and you will be a silent powerhouse this year. And out of balance, you might feel stuck and you might lash out at others. And to bring yourself into balance, Capricorn, you need rest and you need to do the Makarasana pose. I don't know, Google that, Makarasana, rest. Well, because when Jupiter moves into your 8th, he'll activate your solitude house and rest house as well. Okay, and I'm going to stop the share. I'm going to pause the record. And now we're going to move on and continue the signs. Yes, I did have to go pick up the phone, so to speak, as my video recording studio next, Olga Morales. Oh my God, she's incredible. We're doing a session together. I hope you guys are going to enjoy the interview with her. All right, let's go ahead and bring ourselves back into the story of the next sign, which is going to be Aquarius. Oh, guys, I'm one of you. Sun, moon, and rising. So let's talk about it. I guess like I keep telling every sign, go back to 1998, 2000, 2006 to 2007, 2012 to 2013, 2019 to 2020. That's the last time, okay, you had this vibration here of this elemental water year. And it started this November behind us, or October, November. It happened in the fall last year. Scorpio energy was activated by Mercury, and now it will come through all of 26, will be in the water signs with Mercury, and it will linger till the summer of 27. So what I would say is it's about the Eartha houses of 2 and 6 and 10. The concept is career, material prosperity, financial success, work, employees, employer, job stuff. Can also activate success and luck in rental properties, changing your home, tenanting out a home. It can also bring you into an ascendancy of success in the public eye, in the career space, as well as increasing your financial well-being. Now, Mercury is going to enter into in the beginning of the year. And by the way, this is a lot like the first half of 2000 and second half of 2013. All right. For all the professional success and stuff. Right. So the first half of 26 is like the second half of 13. In 2013, I had a massive viral hit on my Awakened Dreamer blog when I was really just blogging away to share my enlightenment journey. And this thing went viral on me and gave me a lot of public exposure that I wasn't even expecting, nor was I particularly ready for, So one of the things I want to tell you is that this energy will open up money and earnings and job. And on February 7th to April 15th, you're going to find the energy is going to take you into a reconsideration of what you want to accomplish in your money place, because this is your money house, earnings, money, sometimes spending, pocketbook, wallet, generic money you have, you possess the resources, and financial wellness, security resources, like all of that property, land can be part of second house possessions. February 7th to April 15th, you can buy or sell something that you want to possess, and particularly in February when you have Venus here. And so kind of February 7th to the end of the month, you might be like wanting to buy a car, sell a car, buy a home, sell a home, but you might also be looking at some positive exalted increase or good luck in your earnings sector, February 7th to April 15th. And with Mercury here, you might have some new ideas or some new ways to buy, market, sell. You might be really just amplitude will be here. You might definitely, because Venus rules your property and home, be buying an object for your home that you need, but it will increase your financial revenue and business success. Like I'll probably need to get a professional camera, according to my business guy that I hired now, because I got low res. So that's probably me splurging on a good camera. But, whatever we're doing here, we're amplifying what will make us richer and more satisfied. Now, Venus is in the house of what we eat with Mercury in the month of February. So February 7th, the end of the month, is good for like really refining your food style to an exalted level. And Jupiter says it's better for your health. So it can open up changes of dietary patterns that are really positive for you and increase your well-being while you enjoy the food you eat or the substances you ingest. Okay. February 7th to April 15th. One thing I love about this energy is that your voice is going to be amplified. Mercury is the microphone and Venus is the beauty or the songstress or the quality of voice. Now, voice is voice, vocation, and calling, not just your physical voice, but it means that you may be having a kind of songlark kind of vibe, your songbird thing. February 7th to April 15th, where you're going to be speaking a lot or talking more and having financial success from that stuff. On June the 1st to August the 8th, Mercury will move into Cancer. Cancer is a part of the sky that represents your job, work, tenancy agreements, also represents matters to do with pets, also employee-employer relations and debts. I know it's a lot, and health matters. So first of all, June the 1st to August the 8th, when it comes to health, Jupiter's in your sign all of June. So any information or news about health will have a solution. And if that happens in the month of June, you can rest easy. On the other hand, you might also want to secure a pet. And June 1st to the end of June can be something as simple as like contracting with a breeder, right? Because Mercury represents contractual agreements, or purchasing a pet or something like that. June 1st to June 30th with Jupiter and Mercury, the pet is lucky for you. It's blessed. Mercury rules the house of the dead. So a former animal coming back from the dead wouldn't surprise me here. And also you might find yourself in the possession of a rental agreement or contract coming through June 1st to August the 8th in order to relocate your home or to tenant out the home you live in. And it will be, especially if you find a contract in June, extremely lucky and fortunate for you. And it is a reminder that, Mercury is the ruler of your chunky money house. And also, he also dominates your Virgo energy in your chart, which is the chunky money. I just said that. I apologize, my brain, but also your creative entrepreneurial stuff. And so there's a lot going on here that suggests that the work and money is going to make you more expansive, entrepreneurial, and creative, as well as potentially bringing into reality some kind of potential love story connected to your work. If you're going to meet someone new because you're single, the likelihood is to meet them through work. And as Jupiter moves into your seventh house and then the south node midway through the year, that just brings karmic love stories into your space. But Mercury would bring it through social times or communications in the work environment, most likely. When we move onward to September 30th to December the 5th, Mercury will move through Scorpio just as he did at the end of 25, in the fall of 25. So you might be very busy communicating, speaking. I was recording my 2026 All Signs Bundle and individual signs. I can tell you I was busy, right? So speaking, talking, communicating, marketing, selling in the public eye or for work and career matters. And that's September 30th to December 5th will overlap with me teaching Sky Reader. So I can say, oh, yeah, I'll be pretty busy at that time as well, as I was last fall. But the other energy is, how is this a lot like or similar to, right? The last half of 2013. And I had my blog really taking off and being quite successful. I was shocked. So it was like a personal diary. So you could have some uplift here in the career publicity and energy or social life energy. And like being seen in the world because you're talking, communicating, speaking, marketing, selling. And also September 30th to December 5th, as Scorpio is activated with Mercury, it's going to be a Venus star point up here. And so that's going to be something I can't wait to dive into, but it can bring a lot more public appeal or popular energy starting really in the fall that can really ramp up into the next year after. So there's good things happening in our career space, fellow Aquarian, sun, moon, and rising. Especially sun, especially rising. I would say if you're a moon, this could definitely be for you, Aquarius moons. A definite move, moon meaning domicile and home, okay? Something is trying to happen and relocate most of us. But for the moon, Aquarian moons, yes. You can't believe I got octopus, guys. I just had an octopus mug that my daughter broke, okay? And I laughed because I said, I'm too much of an 8-tentacled octopus. I have too many irons in the fire, or too many tentacles and too many projects as a astrologer, as a writer, as a teacher. And I bet you an octopus is going to tell me I need to refine my limbs from 8 down to maybe 3. All right. How does this resonate, Aquarius? Even if you're retired, what are the things that you've got going in your life that just you feel like, oh my God, I got too many things going on, too many irons in the fire, or too many tentacles in the water? I'm looking for octopus, so you have to give me a minute. Here we go. This is about reaching, yearning, lacking, boundaries, and direction. The octopus signifies a wonderfully perceptive mind paired with a lack of healthy boundaries. Unfortunately, this results in well-intentioned but messy relationships. The octopus entwines itself into other people's business and shares their own without restraint. Okay, I don't do that. They believe I don't. That's what it means to be close. If you notice after spending time with someone that you feel drained or uneasy sometimes, but not often, the essence of the octopus is at play. Begin to establish healthy boundaries. Be patient and firm. It may be a very old habit to change. When you're in balance, you are interested, engaged, and intelligent. Out of balance, you are needy, clinging, and lacking courage. And you need space to yourself and talk therapy. Okay, let's keep that in mind because we're also working our asses off. I will just give you that much. Okay, we're going to go working our asses off as a theme. Last but not least, Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign. Oh, I started with you guys. Yay, I'm done. Okay, I'll see you guys on the next video. I don't know when this one is dropping per se, probably early February. Well, go ahead and watch Gary Caton's interview. I hope you enjoy it. I'll see you soon. Thanks for liking and subscribing. Check out my courses, check out my bundle, check out everything about me under the description box under this video.